To WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio. WZYE 95.9 FM.
Corruption in common entrance. Me a thinking fine, and me a trying to protect my child, but corruption is a constant annoyance. Going on too long in common entrance. You don't have to be intelligent, that is a lie. Your father must pull a good string with complexion high. Your child could be bright like a ball man from Laventi. Forget holy names, convent and bishops and steam. Because they have to pick La and they Ubudu, Krishna Maharaj. Because Arjun and Saj, father have big garage. Chaiti Bisuni Moli and Pomani. The brother, sister, son, and Narwani. Hadid Montano, Saban, Abraham. They pick so much picture, children they get sham. When they pull them pictures, go right up to the neck. They send all them porn to the junior sex. To the high class, in the class, la 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 la. Only high class, in the class, la 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 la. In the class, la 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 la. Before command entrance, the last one. Arriving on Independence Square, a woman shopping back fall long on the pavement. I see uniform clothes for Holy Names Convent. I say, woman, how you show your child pass for a school? She say she connection school and she ain't no fool. She say she husband on the staff and she start to laugh. She say, go inside, old ministry is mad. She said they have to pick chin fat, one song and them half white. Your parents know where they're going long before they write. And if your name is Cornel, you pass with ease. All them Cornelius for Fatima and St. Mary's. You must be politically active and have your party card. You get in picture school here in Trinidad. You ain't get teacher Jaggis a Royal Saloon by check. I tell you buy uniform for the juniors. In the night, la 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 la. Oh my high class, in the class, la 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 la. High class, in the class, la 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 la. It looks like they say they stop in common entrance just to put poor people in more gloom. Like a chicken and their parents go have to groan. When they start the new thing that they call the zone, it means if you're living in Woodbrook and in St. Clair, automatically go in there where the air is red. And if you live in Togo and you're coming first in the race, you can get into St. Augustine Girls by Anamanis. Because they have to pick broker and Dilema. Miss Dilema, she daughter a poll watch to give the supervisor. They must be Hassan Ali, Hayatali, Masan and Rouse. Ramuta Singh is the supervisor free steel to build the house. But I want a big piece of rope to tie the neck up and tin. Leave him in the sun and rain till he get in. And when I get them, I'll pull the rope and pop in it. Then we go get some high class and them juniors. shame. Natasha should have a picture name. Somebody would have lost their work or end up in jail. When the results come out and Natasha failed, because she have a big stupid name like Wilson. Nobody in the ministry can nothing. So change your children's surname and don't be a fool. If you want your children to go to a freshman school, you see, I'm a big talk, me afraid to talk, because all of them people, they doesn't work. They have to be chilling back wrong son and them have white. Their parents know where they're going long before they right. You must be politically active and have a party card. Don't get in picture school, yeah, in Trinidad. You ain't getting judge at the royal salute by the check. For the truth.
Let me say a special hello to all the WZYE 95.9 FM listeners. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it's in the village with the dark triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And we come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. And let me bring in 1/3 of the dark triplet, no other than Diana, Benskin, Stormy, the Storm, Waveney, McDonald.
Well, you get it wrong again. Good evening, listeners. Good evening, viewers. A day. A poker set, you know. But a day. Good evening, listeners. Good evening, everybody.
It's night, you know. How you day? You can't be day in the night.
Listen here. Watch yourself, you know. You see this pen? All right, good.
No, but you say it day.
Good. A day. If you well, then you know Trini. You know what a day mean. Good day. Good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the village. Glad to have you here. We have very sensitive issue coming up, and lots of sensitive issues coming up, right, Angela?
Yeah. Correct is right.
Lots of sensitive. But before we go, I have to say, Black women have always been supreme. I must make that statement.
You. So let me bring him to him. Tony.
Yes, indeed.
Commissioner, welcome, man. You're inside. What
glad to be inside the village. Special good evening to all my friends, all my family in the village here tonight. I know it's going to be a wonderful night.
Definitely. Black women have always been supreme.
And tonight we have it's always an interesting night in the village, right? And but let me just get this out of the way again. As we know, we normally like to get this out of the way as quick as possible. There's no surprise again, of course. You know, always first in the village. You know, we had to get a trophy for Nadia, you know.
Yep.
Nadia, we had to get your trophy. Nadia first, second, third. But this time, getting closer now, things changing a little bit. Just a little bit. Vonnie Roberts was fourth. Just
that's the best you could do.
Yeah, that's just a little bit. But he trying. He getting close to the top. He getting close. Then came Nadia again, fifth. Joan Jadube, Joan Welcome, sixth. Joan Jadube, seventh. Joan Jadube, eighth. Nadia, ninth. Lana, 10th. All right. Troy Smith break this. He break the streak a little bit. Troy Smith was 11th. Right? Troy Smith was 12th. Troy Smith was 13. Oh, God, boy. Tekisha, boy. Tekisha was 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Nadia was 20. Hey, Guy Mahabir. Who's that? Guy was 21st. What are you, Fanta?
Yeah.
Oh, hey. Hey, Gary, Maria, welcome, boy.
I see a new name here, Indra Mohammed. If you're new to the village.
Enjoy been here before. Enjoy the young lady
Oh,
from the
okay.
Beatum.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. All right.
enjoy the Beatum friend. Rajvi, you're inside, boy. Rani Mohammed, of course, you're inside.
Lana Oishirich.
Fish stick. What? What fish stick say? Wall Street, you're watching too much Aisha program.
Oh, God.
You're on the same
Carrie.
little award between the boy and the girl. Fish stick. Let me say something, yeah. Fish stick. And my sister-in-law. Let me tell you some facts now, eh? Since Fish stick bring it up. Anyway, let me go through this first and I will come back. Let me start Fish stick's comment and I will come back to it. You know, all you know I like to deal with facts, eh? Good night, Fish stick. Miss Coover, how you doing? Miss Coover, are you truly from Coover or I just a name they give you?
Maybe the girl from Coover.
No, but people just give themselves all kind of name, you know.
And what's wrong with that?
No, but I just want to know if she's from Coover. You ever been to Coover?
Me?
No. Who are talking to? No, Tommy. Tommy. No, you.
Of course, I worked in Coover for years.
No, but Tommy are talking to Diana.
I mean, if I ever been to Coover, I've never been to Chumakak, but I've been to Coover.
I ain't asking about Chumakak, I asked about
but
Coover.
I'm just letting you know. I've never been to Chumakak. I've been to Landfill, but I've never been to, and I've been to Coover.
What part of Landfill you been?
Up the hill.
Where's up the hill?
Right up the hill from the main road.
Which main road? Landfill no up the road. Landfill no up no hill from no main road. What are you talking about?
But maybe it's more far went then. I don't know.
You ain't go no Landfill. I know you ain't go Landfill. If you say you come up there from the main road, you must have went sour hill or somewhere. And you think
I know where Landfill is, where the CGA coconut grows, so our factory is. Don't even go there.
That is Landfill, but that's like Landfill proper. That's not really Landfill.
Well, hello.
CGA is close to Port of Spain.
Well, I've been up that hill, that Mover Hill there, and to go into Landfill.
Wait, you can't be up Mover Hill and calling it Landfill.
But you have to go up there to gain to the Landfill from there, no?
From where? From Mover?
You can go up, you can go up over the hill to get into Landfill.
No, correct. You are right about that. You could go through Mover and get into Landfill.
All right then. So don't tell me I ain't been to Landfill.
Who told you? Who
what do you mean I ain't been? Anselm, you left Trinidad when? I partied in Landfill one time, but a couple of times in Mover. All right, so
you sure wasn't Mover your party and people tell you
I know where I was. All right, so you
okay. You know, sometimes people just say things, you know. Yeah, enjoy beat them in the house. Full 100 enjoy. Full 100. Albert Montana, boy. What? Rajvi Zessa Street? Where Zessa Street is? I don't know about that, no? Yeah, no enjoy to know what part of Landfill, Diana. Now, Diana, I don't know.
I don't know. I went to some party. They should ask me something from 1970 something. Yeah, I can remember exactly where I went. I went to a fete up there when Madman, Maddie, and Gemma and all them used to play up in there.
Yeah, but
I went one time.
Yeah, Madman, Maddie, and them. Yeah. You must have really went someplace in Mover, ain't you? You went that place in Mover.
You know what?
Lana say, and some of that bus doing behind it. Hey, that's a SWMCOL bus earlier. and they have on the bus big and bold recycler, right? Recycle. We're going to be talking about that coming up soon. Let's see the bus recycle. Let me see if I can get the bus. Let me see if I could move and kind of get the bus a little bit.
Bacchanal, you trying to go? Yeah.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. That's what SWMCOL saying. I want to know what them is recycle. And them 4 dumps there. Look, all you them fellas and them good, yes. Them is the best, you know. I like them too bad. Too bad.
But I must. I want.
Yeah. Miss Coover says she live in Coover in Chubai.
Oh, good.
So Diana, what part of Coover you didn't know?
Why?
I mean, you know.
Couva is a big place. I mean, Couva, Princestown, San Fernando, all of them are within the same environs. I don't know what part I went.
No. You're getting it wrong now. Don't give yourself away.
What do you mean, Couva and Princestown and San Fernando and they're not in close environs?
Oh my
And
God.
Marabella and all of them, they've been close.
Okay, Marbella's part of San Fernando West and so on, right?
Well, if you're driving for the day, you pass through all of them and you go where you're going.
Wait. Couva is not near to San Fernando.
I ain't said near to San Fernando. So when you're going on a drive, you drive through all of these villages, Princestown and all of that. Listen here. Can we move on to another subject?
Diana,
Down by the seawall. Down by the seawall. You have a code
that says at some point you have to stop digging.
Down by the seawall.
Hey, well, Diana, look, even Angel Mohammed correcting you.
Well, I'm from St. Augustine. I know them environs very well. I would go down there when we play hockey matches, or I went down there when I went to the beach, sometime down to Pointy Carcass, that long bus ride on a bus. So, hey, wherever route they take. But I can't tell you, exactly where they're located. I left Trinidad in 1978. Come on, people.
So after that.
But I didn't used to frequent the South, hey.
So
good night, Chris Watson.
So that's exactly the point. If you didn't frequent
I didn't frequent it, but I can safely tell you that Couva is not near Woodbrook.
It's central. Okay. It's central.
All right. I could tell you that Couva ain't near Woodbrook. All right then. So let's move along.
Well, that's answers you're asking there, you know what I mean?
Couva is not near Woodbrook. It's more closer to Chaguanas or San Fernando than Woodbrook.
Here comes the fact. We're gonna put things in perspective.
Please. All right. So wait. So Diana, here's Angel, right? Angel says that's not the hill, it's the main road, CGA. You see,
okay.
Even Angel.
All right, now I got to tell you.
Stay in St. Augustine, eh?
Good night, Joan.
Don't try.
I can stay in Barbados.
Yeah, Joan says.
Because you stay in Bridgetown.
Yeah. Tommy, I like that one better.
I don't live in the city when I go to Barbados. I live in a country.
What part of Barbados you live? You know you go.
I from St. Thomas.
That is
St. George. Right? No, that's the country. St. George, St. Thomas. My property is in St. George, and my family is in St. Thomas. Those are the two parishes my parents are from.
But anybody ask you where your property is?
Telling you where to go.
But we ask you where you ask where your property was.
I'm telling you where to go. Where you think I just go at people, I go at me.
All right, okay. So if I go to Barbados and I need a place to stay, I could go in the parish of what, St. Thomas?
No, you got to go stay at Bougainvillea.
What is that?
That's a hotel.
A posh hotel?
Well, it's a very nice hotel near the beach. Yeah.
All right. We go work that out. So Joan Jadube say Wall Street is Mr. Laventil. Thank you very much, Joan. Sari Khan, good afternoon as well. Good evening to you as well. Yeah? Good evening. Albert Montana say he's busy making coconut ice cream with a Hamilton Beach ice cream maker. Albert, a Hamilton Beach, right? They still have that?
You have to use the old time term.
They still have a Hamilton Beach ice cream maker. Okay. Hey,
that's an antique.
Watch, Diana, even Albert correcting you. Albert in Canada correcting you. Albert say it's near Macano Quarry before Picton Road.
Couva is more central, Caroni, Princestown, deep south after San Fernando. All right, true.
Yeah,
all of them in that direction. They're not north, or they're not north near Port of Spain. I know the direction they're located. All right, so leave me alone now. Good.
Diana, take win, Diana.
Leave me alone. Let me do like Rose. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Chris Watson says reduce, reuse, and recycle. The HSF answer. Sally says she from Sally's joining us just now. Sally from Marabella, and she living in Sando. Chris, good night. Good night to you, Chris Watson. Now, this is a new name I'm seeing. Budram John. Good night, everyone. Budram, where are you from and where are you joining us from? Everybody, say a special welcome to Budram John. I wonder if he related to Erica John, boy.
Welcome to the village, Budram.
Budram, are you related to Erica John?
Why you causing bacchanal now?
Say welcome.
Why you causing bacchanal?
Welcome, Budram.
Yeah. Diana, Chris say good night. Oh God! Diana, woo! Wait now, boy. Diana, let me put this one up there. Chris Watson say good night, Diana, my love. Oh God!
Yeah. Bob, you jealous?
Huh? No, I just putting up the comments. No, I just demand. I haven't seen anybody put up that kind of comment yet, but Chris, boy, glad. All right, boy. I'm gonna leave that alone, Lana said have a new political party, reduce, reuse, and recycle. I don't know how them fellas say that. I hear they don't recycle in Trinidad. Is that true?
I have no idea.
Not yet. They're thinking about it.
All right. So Albert Montana says Couva is more central. Currently Princeton deep south after San Fernando. The train used to travel through that town. You see?
That was it. Where you go Chaguanas, then you'll meet places like Tabaquite, or you get Princestown, then you would get, I'm trying my memory, you go further down, on the side you'll get Point Fortin out in the outside there. I'm just calling towns that I've been to and the logistics of where they're located. But you're gonna get Chaguanas first. Yeah, Tabaquite is down that way, and like in between is with Princestown and but before Princestown. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Tabaquite is before Princestown.
Couva before Tabaquite too.
All right.
Valsin come before all of them.
I know where Valsin is. Valsin is right on the other side of the Hochoy Highway where I went to school. Anslan, you're beating a dead horse. Let's go.
No, I'm beating a dead horse. In the meantime, people just helping you with your geography. That is all. What's wrong with that?
But I've left there so long. I don't remember all the songs.
I had to get help in my geography too. I'm not. I really don't know South that much.
No, me neither. And when you say south, you have southeast, southwest, right? Southeast, if you're calling the map, you will get Rio Claro and them thing on that side. If somebody tell me Mearo out on that side, and on the other side you will get Sando. If I'm thinking of the map of Trinidad.
You're going to Toko?
Mearo is like east central.
Well, east. That's why I said east, southeast, east, more east. It's east and Sando is west, huh?
Right.
You ever went to Toko?
Long time ago.
What about Manzanilla?
Long. One bumpy bump. San Granny's right there. One bumpy road.
You went Page?
But of course I go Page. That's where I was born. That's my stomping ground.
Oh, Page is something going on. Just asking.
Lopino, I used to go there when they had Parang.
You went to Parang, I would imagine, right?
Up in the hills.
What about Talparo?
Yeah, I hear about them names. They used to go and hunt a Agouti and thing up in there. And when they brought back the Agouti home, they expect me to be cleaning it. I said, no, I'm not touching that. So I used to get licks for that.
What about Sanssouci?
Who knows? Anselm, can we go on with the program, please?
I just asked you, why are you getting upset?
I'm not getting upset.
What about Belvedere? You ever went Belvedere?
Sounds familiar. I don't know if I went there.
So that's it.
Sounds familiar. I don't know if I went there.
Because this month is shot by my Chumaka partner inside.
I know I went Blanchy Shares. Up them mountains.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, hike over them mountains. The longest thing in my life.
Yeah, but wait now. Albert, like he just buy it. Albert said we bought the Hamilton Beach ice cream maker from Amazon online. But what? Albert, it's real. It's cool, boy.
I'm just checking my mic. You guys hearing me clearly?
Well, Gary, we didn't hear you before, but we hearing you now.
I think the bit is freezing up here.
Gary, we hearing you very clear, man. So,
John,
welcome.
the puppy is doing well. He had some shots, so he a little groggy. The vet say he'll be a little groggy. He had the second dose of vaccines, so he'll be a little groggy. So he's sleeping.
Oh.
But he gained 6 pounds.
Okay, so Fisty, give me some news. There are places that recycle plastic in Trinidad. I think Lana sent me something with some Cuban people who have a factory, I think, that does plastic recycling. Right.
But the answer, we didn't address the Supreme Woman, man. We have to address to address the Supreme Woman, man, because look, 47. Yes.
Yeah,
47 to 53. Good night, Gary. 47 to 53.
Yeah.
Huh? Or, Supreme, finally. And I just want to say, me, I like them kind of thing. Women, black women have always been supreme. And I will just name a few. Just a few. I'm going to begin with Dr. Anna Mahace, Maya Angelou, Kamala Harris, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, Harriet Tubman, Mary Bethune-McLeod, Shirley Chisholm, Phyllis Wheatley, Janelle Penny-Commission, Jean Pierre, Althea Gibson, Coretta Scott King, Sojourner Truth, Winifred Atwell, and Hazel Scott. Supreme black women.
Yeah, so George Ketanji.
Well, we have a Supreme Woman in the background. They're going to be coming in soon.
Yes.
Yeah. I think she's there. Let me see if she's there. No, she's not there yet. But yeah, but I wanted to just quickly play something else too as well before we get her in here.
And also Tiger Woods is back.
Oh yeah, man. That's a good thing. That's a good thing for now I could look at golf again.
Well, golf is gentlemen only, ladies forbidden. So
no. Golf is a good game. I want you all to listen to this.
That's what golf stands for.
What's that? Gentlemen what?
Gentlemen only, ladies forbidden.
Okay. I find Judge Jackson's to be a person of exceptionally good character, respected by our peers, and someone who has worked hard to achieve her current position. After a thorough review of Judge Jackson's record, I will vote no.
How? How qualified do you have to be, double Harvard? How qualified do you have to be clerking at all levels of the federal judiciary? How qualified do you have to be 3 times confirmed by the Senate in a bipartisan manner? And so, Senator, I have to say, today is the birthday of a great poet named Maya Angelou. And so I'm just going to end with those words. Why is this poem strike a chord with so many Americans? Because they feel it to their bones. And so this is in honor of Maya Angelou and the next Supreme Court Justice of the United States of America. Happy birthday, Maya, Dr. Angelou. You may try to write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me down in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I rise. Rise, Sister Jackson. Rise, Judge Jackson, all the way to the highest court in the land. And when we have that final vote, I will rejoice, ancestors will rejoice, and we will say, Lord, this is a day that you have made. Thank you.
Took the poem out of my mouth.
Heavy stuff. From New Jersey, Senator Cory Booker.
Is Sally in the background yet?
Not yet. Heavy stuff.
Okay.
Heavy stuff.
Heavy stuff. That's why I had to mention all these powerful black women here, right? Despite odds, they succeeded right? I mentioned my school principal. I mentioned Kamala Prasad Bissessa because in the world she's considered a black woman. Okay, want to pelt arrows my way? Go right ahead. She was the first female prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago. I had to give her props due. Shirley Chisholm. You know the odds. Women can vote.
But you didn't mention Mia Amor Motley. What happened?
I was coming with Sheila. You're taking the words out. No, give me a chance now. You're taking the words out. Remember, I have a whole list.
Ladies that you gave before.
Yeah, but I have another list here that I was going to end the program with.
Mia Motley. She might be there now.
I apologize.
Mia Amor Motley. She's on my list here. What you talking about?
All right, Diana. The floor is yours.
The floor is mine. Black woman has always been supreme. You imagine had they not kept us in bondage for 400 years, the advances we would have made, and still they kept us in bondage so long. And look at the contributions, the inventions we have made to making mankind's life better. Man, only take that now. Let me go.
No, guys, she's not back there yet.
Okay, she said she was signing in now, so
yeah. As soon as she's signing. But let me address this one here. Fishstick says, Wall Street, you're watching too much Aisha program. You're on the same trend with the award between the boy and the girl. I don't know. Let me ask you guys a question. Did you guys get anything that I have done so far that addresses this?
I don't know what you're talking about. So
okay, so what happens is that there was a situation in Trinidad. Let me share this here. There's a situation in Trinidad with let me see this one. I think this is it here. Right, there was a situation in Trinidad with something to do with the SEA and the top scorer 2 years ago, and it appears that the top scorer wasn't the person that they actually gave the award to. I think they gave the highest award to an individual, a young lady, and it is believed that the top scorer wasn't a young lady, but was somebody else, and the ministry was trying to let me read this story here. Let me read this story to get it more factual. Let me read this story. And as soon as she comes in, we're gonna interrupt and go to the go to Miss Khan. All right, so let me get this story here. Let me see the story. Okay, that one has no content. Hold on. Landfill, Beatum, Google, Manhattan. Here we go. So, and it's the same story up there that's on the screen with Miss Anita Haynes. Ministry must clarify SEA top scorer confusion. Right. Member of Parliament for Tabakit, Miss Anita Haynes, is calling on the Ministry of Education to clarify the confusion surrounding the top scorer of the 2020 secondary entrance assessment examination, which has led to legal action. According to a press release from the MP, the matter has fueled the lack of public confidence in the education ministry. The following is a press release from MP Haynes. The Member of Parliament for Tabakit, Ms. Anita Haynes, is calling on the Ministry of Education to clarify the confusion surrounding the top scorer of the 2020 secondary entrance assessment examination. Ms. Haynes asserts this major mix-up, which culminated in legal action, was poorly handled by the Ministry of Education. Furthermore, the abrupt turnaround on a decision that took 2 years to make only compounds the issue. It also raises new questions about how decision was made and whether other students have been affected. Ms. Haynes noted the prevailing opinion, expressing distrust of the Ministry of Education and calling for transparency. In addition to causing undue stress to the identified students and family members, as well as the unidentified student, this matter has fueled a lack of public confidence in the education ministry. A number of parents have contacted me about querying their child's exam result and criticizing the SCA format in light of the ministry further fumbling of this grading mix-up. Haynes posits, this is yet another instance that calls into questions integrity in the education sector and equitable access to education opportunities, saying, if the family of the student initially identified as the top SCA scorer based on preliminary results did not have the resource to hire an attorney and challenge the ministry decision, the outcome would have been quite different. In fact, the vast majority of parents will not be able to retain legal services. What chance would there have been in such a situation? Additionally, if the top scorer was indeed a different student, what provisions will be put in place to ensure that the child is acknowledged and celebrated for their achievement? The Member of Parliament added, it is critical that the errors of the process which created these conflicts are addressed in a thorough and transparent manner, lest it creates more skepticism and distrust. With Trinidad and Tobago education policies undergoing international scrutiny recently, the Ministry of Education must step up to the task at hand. Above all, the Ministry of Education must always consider the impact that administrative decisions may have on students and treat the matters accordingly so as to mitigate distress. That was the whole article. Now, let me say this, right? You see, I don't like to talk from what I don't know. Let me talk from what I know now, right? My sister-in-law, who is now an attorney in this country, I'm going to go solo here, okay? My sister-in-law, who is an attorney in this country now, grew up in Landfill, and she passed for Woodbrook Government Secondary School, and they sent her to a junior secondary school. And my mother-in-law, the same mother-in-law always see me talk about, that told me 34 years ago, a liar has no memory, that woman is one of the, that woman, mother-in-law, my mother-in-law is unbelievable for a woman who grew up in Lavantie and raised most of her children. Of course, they had a father as a single parent, with some help from the father. My mother-in-law, knowing how intelligent her kids were, she said there's no way my kid could have passed for a junior secondary school. And you know what she did? She went to the Ministry of Education and she asked them, I want to see my daughter grades. I want to see my daughter grades. Because she was from Lavantil, she couldn't pass for Woodbrook Government Secondary School. That school was too high back in them days. Sister-in-law, who's now an attorney in this country, right? My mother-in-law, that woman from Lavantil, in the heart of Lavantil, said she's going to the Ministry of Education, and she went to the Ministry of Education, and when they show her a score, daughter had one of the highest scores, and she said, there's no way, or you're going to discriminate against my daughter and send her to that school. They had us to change it and send her to Woodbrook Government Secondary School. I'm not asking all you, I'm telling all you. And that was years ago. All of them, all my in-laws and them, the bright like 25 bulbs. There's 25 bulbs in a box. Some of them is 100 watt, some of them is 200 watt, 300 watt, 400 watt. I might be the only 75 watt in the box, right? So I had to borrow lights from them sometimes. That is part of the problem in Trinidad and Tobago, right? And it's the system. The system has to change. Because today, 2 years ago in 2020, the system was no different, right? And I am not getting into who could get attorney, who can't get attorney and all kind of thing. The system. All remember us put this up, right? All remember us always put this up, right?
Are you seeing Sally there now? Is she not there?
No, she's not there.
Wow.
All remember us always put this up, right? Right? The system was never broken. It was built that way. Look, 2020, same thing happening.
All the systems. All the systems.
The systems. Right? They're not broken. Them systems ain't broken. You go tell me you don't know the difference between who come first and who come second or who come third? You don't know? You don't know who get the highest score? Tell me. Gary, you don't know who get the highest score?
Corruption.
Check again. She's saying that she's there. I don't know what's happening.
No, she's you saw she's not on YouTube, Gary. She's not in here.
Just to click on the blue StreamYard link.
Just to click on the StreamYard link and to get in. Right? So always see for yourself. I talking about what I know. I don't know about other situations. I could talk by myself too. My last name is Limon. And I get a late pass. I don't know what a late pass is, you know. Is that a pass? Eh?
I always talk about my situation.
Yeah.
11 years old, having to leave Marabella to go to Palo Seco, 5 o'clock in the morning. My mother cried every morning.
Ansem, she said she clicked on it. She's there.
But I was just seeing myself.
Okay, hit enter.
Enter broadcast.
System is rotten.
The system is the system. You go blame other things for it. The system needs to be fixed.
Yep.
The system is rotten to the core. It's rotten.
It's not a system. It's like it's them. I don't want to say the word.
Yeah. And you know,
it's them.
It's a kind of culture, boy. It's a kind of culture there that it is so enrooted that it's going to take a heavy hand to change it. You know, it's going to really take a heavy hand to change it. There's a lot of undermining and very selfish.
I now see her, Gary.
She's trying again.
It's the system, man.
Well, who's the system? Is all of we. Is all of we that's in the system there. We are the system.
No, Gary.
The culture is...
No, Gary, you and I not in the system because we're not making no decisions.
No. I'm just saying is the people it is so corrupted in their way of thinking, you know, that it's a kind of culture, you know, very self-serving agenda.
Corruption is culture. Well, that's very interesting.
The system has to change. Let's bring in Sally.
You got it, okay.
Yeah. Okay, she went to another one now. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, here you are. Let me remove this one here. Remove from the stream. Hello. Sally, are you hearing us? Are you hearing us? Miss Khan, are you hearing us?
On mute.
She's not hearing me. Gary, can you send her a message and tell her to unmute? I'm seeing her, but she's not hearing us.
We're hearing you now.
It froze, right?
No. Are you hearing us?
No, her internet, she looks frozen there.
Yeah, I think she's frozen.
Are you hearing us? Yeah, your mic works.
I think she's frozen. Gary, send her a message and tell her to go out and come back in. Just as she went in. Okay, she has two streams up. Hold on, Let me get this one. Let me try this one here. Yes, are you hearing us now? Are you hearing us? Gary, gotta send her a text. She's not hearing us.
Are you hearing us?
Are you hearing us?
Tell her to use a headset.
The internet is freezing.
Tell her to use a headset or something.
I'm not hearing her.
But we're hearing her. We're hearing you.
I'm not here. I hardly hear you all.
Are you hearing us now?
597.
Are you hearing us?
We're hearing you.
We can hear you now.
Oh, she's gonna try
it. Try a headset and see.
Yeah.
Good idea. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us now? Turn up the volume on your phone. Turn up the volume on your phone. Is that
Are
better?
you hearing us? So I'm hearing something in the background. So Gary, let her go out and come back.
And turn up the volume or use a different phone or something.
Gary, tell her to try to go out and come back. Let me go. Tell her go out and come back. Let her try to come back. Because we're not hearing her.
Okay.
All right. So folks, you know, you know what? I'm gonna leave that alone. I'm gonna leave that alone. I will leave it alone. You know, sometimes you gotta leave well alone. You know what I mean?
Another comment.
Oh God. So Lana says reduce politicians, recycled politicians. You see change and exchange. Oh, hey Chris, you're getting trouble for this, you know. Chris said fish in America, the women here have more plastic in their body than the earth. Nah. Chris, you look at me trouble, you know. Chris, you're the one with that partner.
I don't have no silicone in me, Chris. I am 100% natural. All the things I have, the white woman does want, the thick lips and the hips and the double D's, they're all natural.
Yeah.
And I forget the bumpsy too. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, right. Yeah. Albert say he went to Toko International.
Toko International, that's a school?
I don't know. Yeah. Lana, the sewage section of the dump on the bottom is on fire. That is true, you know. Let me see if I have that one here.
No, that's true. For the second guest coming up.
Yeah. Let me see this one. That was the landfill. That was the beatum today. Here we go.
Yes, people. I just bringing the live to show you all how the smoke is growing because of the fire is escalating at the beatum dump. And as I say, see the black smoke get more wide because of the type of material the fire start to go into. You know, it's a more serious and more deadly type of material that the fire is breathing black smoke. May it be tires, may it be copper, may it be wires. As I say, we don't have no proper separation of waste here. We don't have no kind of separation of waste here. So because everything is mixed together, you'll find you get a mixed type of fires and mixed type of smoke. You get white smoke, gray smoke, black smoke. And it just goes to show how highly toxic the environment and the things that under the ground for decades, deep under the ground for decades, buried under the ground for decades, at the beatum dump really is, right? And continuously, the government, successive governments, fail to implement the Solid Waste Master Plan of 1979 at the risk of workers' health and workers' lives, risking the workers' health and the workers' lives continuously by failing to implement structure for integrated waste management system and an engineered landfill, waste separation, recycling, and all that is necessary to ensure things like this doesn't happen. Right, so the people in the Westmoreland, Goodwood Park, all these areas, this is what coming down at you all and your children and all the elderly ones and all that kind of thing, right? So I just giving you all an update as to how the thing looks. No, I don't want them afraid me. I want them to do the right thing. It's all about the right thing. It's not a matter of fear in me. What they fear in me for? Right? So, I just giving the public, the Facebook people, or let's spread and share the live and update as to how it looks at the bottom dump with this fire.
Right?
What kind of thing, eh?
All kind of thing, but let's bring back in Mrs. Khan. Miss Khan, can you hear us?
Yes, good night.
Oh, finally, yeah.
Finally.
We good now. We good. We like to work here. We just keep working and we know eventually we go get right.
I was trying all around.
Yeah. So, is it Miss or Mrs.?
Ms.
Okay. We normally ask that question at the beginning, just to we are very respectful in the village, right? So we want to address our guests properly.
Right.
Okay.
Ms.
So we have with us Miss Sally Khan, and I would say Miss Sally Khan is a fashion designer, a consultant, and a seamstress as well. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But of course, it's in the village with the DAG triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We have DAG, which is DAG. DAG, the D is considered to be Diana. Diana is considered to be the storm. I am A or Ansem. I'm Flash or Wall Street. G is Gary. Gary is considered to be the Phantom. And we have another gentleman with us by the name of Tommy. Tommy is a commissioner here in Newark, New Jersey. Welcome to Indie Village with the DAG triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM.
Thank you for having me.
So it of course it's a pleasure to have you, right? What's the difference between a fashion designer and a seamstress? Just asking. Because when I grew up in Trinidad, I know it's a seamstress.
Well, actually, this is something I try to let people know and differentiate. I actually call myself still a seamstress.
Okay.
A fashion designer, they go to school, they learn how to sketch and like put things together via paper and pen. They have very little knowledge about sewing. I am one of the old school who knows how to draw straight on fabric, cut, sew, fit you. So this fashion designer thing is up late. People started to refer to me as a fashion designer, so I just ran with it. But I still refer to myself as old school seamstress because there's very few of us left in this trade here. It's a dying trade.
Right. Okay. It's a dying trade. So like when I grew up in Trinidad, I know seamstress people used to sew. They get cloth and they cut it and they come to measure. They cut it out. They get the tailor. They cut out the cloth and they sew it and then tutus. They have a dress or you have a. It's not done that way anymore. Is it done a little different?
Well, basically, I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm one of the most sought after here because yes, I have the clients. They get the fabric. I go along. You get the fabric. I measure you. I cut, and most of the time it is sewn to finish, and it fits exact, and they just leave.
Wow.
And I was self-taught.
Self-taught.
Yeah.
So when you say self-taught, you went on YouTube and you learned from on YouTube or
I'm 54. I didn't have YouTube. No. As a child,
I thought maybe I was about 44,
As a child growing up, I was the last of 7 from a single mother. So obviously then, in those days, she had to sew. She can't buy clothes. So it became that I was always the spoiled one in the set, not pleased with what she was sewing. Until eventually, like around 10, 11 years old, she said, well, you do usual, sew it yourself. And being the person I am, I started to. And I would run to her back and forth, run to her for a little consultation until I had to drop out of school as a strain to look after her. Drop out of college to look after her when she got sick. And eventually friends started to bring stuff over to do. And it has turned into, I have turned into a household name 30 years later.
Wow, it's interesting. And you say you started at 11, right? At 11.
Well, no. At 11, I tried to sew for myself, but
Right, right.
professionally, like level 20.
Mm, mm, mm. Very
It
interesting.
was
So,
Now,
Miss,
where does the consultant part come in?
the consultant part.
Yeah.
Well, all of it is tried and error through me. I am now, I go by appointments. So people make appointments to see me on certain days and times. They come to me with a style and I will give them my honest opinion. I'm very straightforward because my name stands out there. My look. You can't come by me and you want to look like Victoria's Secret, but you know, you're not. I will tell you straight out.
Okay.
And I will redesign to suit your body and your shape. I've been in it too long. I know by now. So clients, even new clients, they trust me. They trust my judgment. So a consultation basically. And then from there we go. So
Ms. Khan, quick question.
literally, yeah.
Are you mentoring or training anyone to create a succession in your business?
That is exactly my other move. I'm not like really prepared yet to impart any knowledge as yet, but it is in the works because, like I said, it is a dying trade. We have tailors, we have people, do tailoring here, but I've never heard anybody go to learn to sew now. So this is something I want to do. Yes.
Do you find
just out of COVID, I will try something.
Do you find youngsters interested in what you're doing?
Oh yes, yeah. Because we do have a lot of young designers coming up, because there are schools here, fashion design schools, and they still can't sew. They will call me and ask for my opinion, like what to do, how to help. And I do help, even once I don't know.
So Miss Khan, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Other than they gave me the name Storm because I get very irate when I hear of people being persecuted and oppressed and suppressed and depressed. I'm also an award-winning poet, a global ambassador, and a humanitarian.
Nice.
I understand you wanted to come to the program to talk about not too pleasant subject.
Well, I invited her actually.
Gary invited her.
I initiated that.
Yes, he did.
Right. So I applaud you for wanting to do that. I too have emerged from a not too pleasant situation, but mine was as a child, not an adult woman. And I, exonerated myself from the parent who treated me very badly. And I had a sort of a catharsis when I wrote my book. But whenever you speak about your bad experiences, you heal. It's a part of healing. So we will engage you in conversation surrounding that awful subject that you came to talk about. So tell us what happened.
Okay, no, I just want to make mention that today is actually today's 50th anniversary of my cousin's daughter. Well, I call her my niece because she's young. She was 26. She was murdered by her own husband in Canada 5 years ago. She was stabbed to death. She was 9 months pregnant by her own husband. So yeah. So today was really, really bittersweet. It's hard to go through the day. And Canada just sentenced him for one murder, which was really hard for everybody. Right? She was just waiting for the baby to be born. So since that 5 years ago, that is when I really started to push. I had my own experiences. My experiences started was really, really young though. It was like a relationship. Like I said, I dropped out of high school. I had to look after my mom. And so the neighborhood, you get to know your neighbors. And it was somebody very close by I was involved with. And it started off nicely like everything else. And until you get that first slap, that one backhand one day. that he sees stars literally. And then he would say, in those days, he said, look where you make me do. Why the fellow's watching you? He know you? I was just about 17, 18 years old. I didn't even know what that was. And I never even got licked on my mother. And I was stunned, but I was also scared. And then I told myself, well, maybe he was right. The guy probably looked at me the way I probably looked at the guy in a different way. And
why
that was
why didn't you go back home? Why did you stay?
No, I was home. I mean, I was living home. This was a boyfriend. This was a boyfriend.
Why did you stay with him?
I was, like I said, I was about 17, 18 years old. I was looking after a very sick mother. I was the only one there with her. And this guy, like, it was neighborhood. I wasn't allowed, I wasn't going out anywhere. And I felt fair, one. I felt a comfort too because it was neighbors too. And then I thought he really did love me. And so I said, maybe I made a mistake. And maybe he's just trying to correct me. I also grew up seeing my mother being abused by my dad.
That was my next question.
Yes. But it's vague because my father left her when I was just 5 years old. But it's something that I grew up hearing, these little screams and the licks and all of that. So at the beginning, I told myself, maybe I'll look for it. And that went on for 3 years. And 30 years ago, that was taboo. I never talk about it. Every Monday morning, I have a black eye or a bus lip. But I kept hiding it because it was I was ashamed. And until about 3 years after that, it was really got so bad that I ended up in the hospital. And a friend dragged me to the police. And that was the end of it then.
Was he charged? Was he ever charged with assault?
That's one of the things we came here to talk about. Charges was supposedly laid. And in those days, like I said, he had owned like a club or a bar. And the neighborhood, the police and everybody used to partake. So when police went there to talk to him and so on, they walked out with bottles of Johnny Walker and thing under their arms. And I was just told to be wary, be careful, don't walk in the road. And again, I was young, that was 30 years ago. So I stayed, I stopped using that part of the area, that part of where I live and so on for about 2 years. Because he said that he would kill me. And I believed that. I had shut down, yeah.
Did you have any brothers? Your father was in the picture?
My father was in the picture. No. Brothers all live overseas. And again, for me, it's either I was very much ashamed because for one day I was warned about him at the beginning too. And two, I was telling myself, I was telling myself, if I tell my brothers and they will put themselves in trouble. Because they would have looked to do him something. So I kept that quiet until I walked away. My last comment to myself, the day my mom died, I made her that promise in her box that I was going to leave the relationship till she died. And I did keep that promise. I walked away then.
You have children with this man?
No, thank God, no. Yeah, I was young, 17, 18, 19, 20, around there.
Okay. Did you ever get any counseling or any help, for what you went through?
Oh, that trust me, that would be a whole next series for us because eventually I even up to now I take medication for clinical depression. I was actually I tried to commit suicide twice, even once when I was with him. And it gave rise to clinical depression actually. So that's another thing I had another battle I had going on.
So how are you now? Because I know I suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder, and I recently I'm not having good days, but I know how to. I've been trained to take my mind not to go down a rabbit hole. How
Oh
do
yeah.
you cope? How do you cope with the
Well,
clinical depression?
it took. I have been on medication for about 15, more than 15 years, huh? And I had like many a times I had like full blown nervous breakdown. You call it full blown. Had to be almost hospitalized, all of that. And I studied it. I actually studied it because I knew that was me. I wanted to get better. I have library full of books. I started to read it, study the mind, study chemicals, chemical imbalance. And I know to have a good relationship with my psychiatrist. So I know the little ups
Trigger.
and downs, the little roller coaster.
Hmm.
I know to ride it out now.
The
Even,
triggers, yeah. And you do,
even though
and you
even though I am on medication, I still have my down days, huh?
Yes, it'd be if you try to explain it to persons who are not diagnosed with the afflictions that we have, they don't understand. They may not comprehend. But I
Yeah.
understand the clinical depression because I went through that. But mine is the post-traumatic stress disorder, and things trigger things in me, and I'm like, oh. So then I have to find a way to navigate my way off this road and get back on a sense of normalcy. And part of it sometimes is like, do you find yourself sometimes not wanting to talk to people at all?
Oh yeah. I have
Mm-hmm.
my days still, but
Mm-hmm.
I push through because I'm very open. I'm very vocal about clinical depression and all the things I've been through on Facebook. So I have so many people looking at me and looking up to me for help. It gives me that little urge to push on,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right?
And we
I
didn't do the top of the hour, but go ahead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It also goes along with anxiety disorder too. Huh?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So, did you? Was there ever someone from the church that you could talk to? Because I found that helped me. Someone ecclesiastically, and your therapist is someone you should be able to trust. And did you find the weight gain with the medication? Because some people don't take their medication because it makes them gain weight. Some of it. Did you find you had a battle with that too?
Well, this is something I try a lot to like coax people. Yeah, the
Mm,
people reach out to me when they start medication. One thing I try to remind people that it takes at least 2 weeks to kick in,
mm,
right? You have to
mm,
have patience. It takes at least 2 weeks. I went
mm.
through about 10 different medications
Till you find the
before I
right one.
settle with one.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you have a weight gain, you have your ups and downs. There's some tablets make you suicidal too. These
Oh
tablets
yeah.
are supposed to make you better. Actually,
Moody.
make you
They make you more moody too.
Yeah, yeah,
Irritable. Don't
yeah.
sleep.
I
Your
wouldn't call it.
appetite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am counseling a girl right now that she's on
Mm-hmm.
medication and that she can't wait for it to start kicking, and I have to be there telling
Mm-hmm.
her each day it'll get better. It'll get better. It
Mm-hmm.
takes 2 weeks to kick in here.
Mm-hmm.
So I am okay on, but if I miss one pill,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to know me the next day. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been there. We know that.
And
But
I did try on many occasions with my doctor, of course, to wean
mhm.
off because I didn't want to live on this.
Yes,
But
yes.
I did my digging, and I tell you, this is a whole long story. My digging, I did all the researchy background. It is hereditary too.
Part
It
of
is
it. Yeah.
genetic. It is genetic.
The clinical depression. They did say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so. But first, I just want to say I'm so sorry that you had to experience this, hard this relationship with this man, and and you're living now with the tentacles of what he did to you. That is
The
why.
side, the side effects.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because
When I.
I'm in the gym heavy now. And now I have to explain to my trainer I have a bad knee. And that was from a beating I got with a baton on my knee from him. I have a bad
Mhm.
wrist. And it's because he fractured my wrist. And this is 30 years later, I am now reaping those things.
I am so sorry. You couldn't be my sister, you know. And he doing that to you. Trust me, the storm would have come for him. I'm telling you. But
I have my older sister, and she had it worse.
I'm so, why do men think they have to go this road to, brutalize a woman? If you can't get along, go your separate way. Call it a day and let me hasta la vista, baby.
No, I think that's why Gary invited me in here to a Trini mentality. For some reason, I own you. And if I can't have you, nobody else can. I'm trying to get to the bottom of that part though. Where and how that started. Actually digging into that now, because that's what he and I were talking about, because there's so many recently there's a rise in murders,
suicides,
and that is real close to my heart, especially with family being part of it. And every time I hear this, it happens, my heart breaks. It breaks because I know somewhere along the line it could have been avoided. You could have gotten away.
I always tell women, there's a sign. The good book says, "So it was in the beginning, so it shall be in the end." But you're young and you're inexperienced. When he backhanded you that first time, you should have packed your Georgie bundle and skid. But
I thought that was
you
love.
thought it was love. Yes.
You know,
Even though you saw it, you and I, we have similar things. I saw my mother being abused by her husband, and I vowed to myself, I am not tolerating that from any man. There was one dude who tried it with me, and he bears a scar in his head for even, just the thought, right? So I don't tolerate nobody hitting me. So for women, I always say, stand. You have to. But now with the gender-based domestic violence unit that Gary, that the TTPS implemented, is that of any help to women? Because I know of another situation where this woman gets abused. Is that of any help to women? Are there shelters for women to go to? Can they hide out?
From my own experience, like as I told you, I have an elder sister. She was in it like a little worse than I was. When I came out of mine, then I heard about hers and started to help her. And hers was that bad that we had to get into a shelter too. And this is where I think it goes back that causes most women to leave too. Granted, the shelters is not the Hyatt, but it's so underfunded, and probably not professional staff enough. They just have like a matron, let's just say. Counselors probably come in once a week. I think the women go there and they see like no hope there. In Trinidad, there's no place. You can't hide in Trinidad too. Husbands will find out. They will find the place.
Go ahead.
Yeah, in our days when we had to go through that, by in about 2-3 days, her ex knew where to find her already. We had to like have cars incognito, so you would know which car. We had no police escort to the courts. They left all of that. The onus was on us to basically take care and shield her. And the only way left after, and now I'm talking after I was over my abuse, now I'm helping my elder sister here. The only way left, the only thing I could have done was buy a ticket and send her away. Or else she would have been a statistic too.
I want to say, right? I being knowing that you were coming on the program, I was reading up and gathering some data and stuff, and I came across this thing here where the St. Lucia's government commemorated International Women's Day on March 8th by presenting a novel domestic violence bill in Parliament. The bill would replace the 27-year-old Summary Acts proceeding. The proposal which is gender neutral, broadens the definition of domestic violence to include psychological abuse, coercion, molestation, and an arbitrary deprivation of liberty or forced confinement. In addition, the proposed legislation speaks to economic abuse, intimidation, harassment, stalking, cyber stalking, and asserts that there can be sexual abuse in a marital relationship. The bill also broadens the scope for police action in response to domestic violence, reducing the onus on the victims to press charges. So, do you think Trinidad and Tobago has reached that stage? Do you think we are willing to change legislation where, you know, the men know, well, hey, you beat on the woman, the police come in for you. All she has to do is walk in the police station, eyes battered and bruised. We don't want to know what precipitated it. You had no right putting your hand. You think Trinidad and Tobago ready for that?
They're ready for that long time, yes, but like I was saying before, sorry to blame Trinis, their mentality is still a little different. You know, if you read up some of them, it would have been murder, suicide. A lot is murder, suicide. Some of them know, yes, they're getting away with it. Some of them will hear what, I kill you and I take myself out and take out my children too. You know, I would love to see that there are repercussions for these. Once there's a report, and I saw it on Facebook of somebody I didn't know, she posted that the ex tried to behead her. She posted a long post. And I asked, why is he still walking around then? If he threatened to behead her, why did these people are not locked up? A threat is a threat. Right? So
it's a cultural mentality then with the men that they go, if he can't have you, no man will have you then. That is where do you think that cultural thought comes from? Is it something they're taught in the home, in the school? Is it in the lyrics and the music that we're hearing? Where do you think it comes from?
I think it comes from the homes too. It comes from the homes too. Not definitely not schools, and well, music, yes, but a lot of these, like I said, is a cycle. That's what my sister and I were talking about. It is a cycle. We grew up seeing our mother being abused. And she had told me she thought it was normal then to be hit. So my ex who used to abuse me, his father used to beat up on all of them. So he thought it was normal when I did ask him eventually. So I think these things is generations passed down. How to keep your woman in order or something like that.
But the woman is not.
It's culturally and genetically instituted somewhere or the other. But my concern is, Sally, is that I'm seeing again and again that the lack of support when a person goes to the police station. It seems like the police is either connected to the person somewhere or the other. There is a lack of understanding and procedure on how this should be handled. There's nothing properly in place. There's no resources to extract the woman and put her in safety and move on from there. Everything is very how to say haphazard. In that and that's why we end up with so many deaths, and there's no consequences. People believe that they can get away with these things because they know somebody.
We had a case here where two police escorted a woman to her home to have her clothes, to get her clothes, right? And the police stood outside while she went in. The husband locked the door and chopped her to death. And the police was outside. So they're not afraid. The men, they're not afraid of the consequences. And like I said, police, they have this I don't know if it's a cultural thing. Well, they're going to make up back. They'll go back together. They take it lightly. That's why, I keep telling women, yes, keep reporting it. But even when you go to the police station, it's no compassion.
Someone said that.
You would go to them and they'll be rolling their eyes.
it's no biggie. It's not a big thing. Not a big thing to them, and I think there's a cultural acceptance to it. And we have a zero tolerance message, and I'm very proud to see you advocating, for this and taking the lead on this, and I want to encourage that.
Chris Watson says in Trinidad, you hit a woman, police don't take you seriously. But I tell you, if the women hit back, they're gonna come in the house. That's what I tell them. But again, too, it's a cultural thing. Now, you probably. I'm a fighter. I tell them I'll fight you in a minute, especially if you cross me or you hurt me. I fight it. Right? But there's some people who don't have that fighting spirit, So, and I'm not knocking anyone for that. So people can recognize those weaknesses in you, and they go after individuals like that, and they prey upon you.
Well, after that, it has turned me into that literally.
You're a fighter. Thank you.
Yeah, it has turned me. Yeah, it has turned me. But my sis, she is docile.
See.
Yeah, right. Even my ex who used to beat me, he still have marks and thing from me. Because I used to fight back.
Very good.
Right. So it and this is one of the things, Gary, we were saying, it on the down low that, what I try to tell women, defend yourself.
That's right.
And so I want to encourage, it's part of our lives now, and part of our curriculum is that we have to make self-defense a part of the structure, in our educational structure and training. Just don't teach your daughter to cook roti and learn to cook, and they have to teach them more things, because they live in a different world.
Actually, but remember my story. I don't know, Gary, if you know my full story. I mean, I have articles and so on. I also came out from molestation at 5 years old, rape at 16 from a family friend, rape at knife point older. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was pretty messed up.
Girl, my heart goes out to you. I have to stay friends with you on WhatsApp. Me and you have to be friends.
I was an alcoholic by 15 years old. I lived on the streets. I slept in cemeteries.
And look at you smiling now. You see, there's a God.
There is nothing to turn to when you're in distress, and that is what forced some people in their situation to stay there.
For sure. Yeah. Right. But I try to tell women, one of the things I advise women, they're in it, and some tell me, I don't know how to get out.
Yes.
Try and get independent. If you're dependent on him, do a little course on the side, online, try to get independent, save some money, put aside something. You will need it. Right?
Yes.
So, because of my past, by the time my daughter was 7, she was almost a brown belt. I made sure. By the time she was 3, she was swimming. She could have dived deep. And by the time she was 7, she was in karate. And nobody could touch her now. So,
way to go.
Yeah. So,
you have seen my comments when you post those workouts, right? You have seen my comments encouraging you and her to do that,
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of penning your story, writing your story?
Well, I don't want to seem like I'm pushing anything right now, but my sister did her book first. So
that's okay.
Hold it up again. That's okay. Hold it up again. Why I stayed in an abusive marriage. Okay.
Yes. She actually outlined this. This is actually different from being abused. She actually outlined why she stayed
in the
when she stayed, when she decided to leave, how she left, and how she recovered. So this is actually on Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
I will be buying it and reading. And mine is on Amazon too. Per Adua ad Astra. To difficulty to success, the life story of one West Indian girl. Talks about my harrowing childhood experience.
Right.
But
so I gave her space because she just launched. We only launched that last year, October. It was a tearjerker after 1 year.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Well,
There's a lot of
Sally,
things.
we want to get yours out there. We would like to
Yeah.
encourage you, and I also have encouraged you on the Fashion Institute training thing to business to move in that direction. That's something
Yeah.
I had suggested to you some years ago, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to know that you're considering it. So, but I
Yes,
like
yes,
maybe
sure.
Diana can help you with that book.
Yes, definitely. And also too, I'm thinking it just came up in my head. There's a young lady, Brittany Williams, Baka. I don't know if you ever heard of her bringing change or creating change or something like that. I'd like to link the two of you because she deals with a lot of, women who are actually in situations like yourself, and perhaps you can talk to them, how to do, what to do, and perhaps some of them may become some of your students in the trade of seamstressing. So I'm
Right.
going to link you and the young lady from Baka.
Sure.
That's a good organization for you to align yourself with. I go ahead, Tommy.
Ms. Khan, I'm sitting here wondering, I know there seem to be a lot of dark days in your past. I'm wondering if there were any bright days, if you ever met anyone who treated you with respect or dignity
Yeah.
at any point in your life.
Um, I'm separated now. I was married after that. And that's how I have my daughter. But due to my past, I'll be honest, he was a good person, but due to my past, I had to get him away from me.
So you became a problem after a while. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. Because now and then, because of one, clinical depression, my past two, stresses would trigger me off.
And
And
you're not, the trust element isn't there also too,
yeah,
right?
he
That's a
said, he fought and he tried, he coped, and I am the one who pushed him away.
Yeah, you usually find persons like us. I know it. I've come to the conclusion where I'm better off living by myself.
Yes,
It is
actually,
true
yeah, it's safer
because
that way.
it's safer that because when you in your doldrums, people if you're not educated or patient enough, you will find that
Oh yeah,
you'll find that I am confrontational or I'm not being loving, but I'm just having a bad day.
yeah,
Or sometimes I just want you to sit in the next chair, be my companion, and don't say anything. Just let me
yeah.
work it out. But some men don't understand that. They don't.
Right. So
They
after
don't.
26 years, we parted ways.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
dear.
and there's also like touch on. I just want to touch on that when I talk about like abuse and clinical depression. You know how much men, males, inbox me. They're ashamed to admit that they are being abused too. They're ashamed that they suffer clinical depression and they don't want anybody to know. So that's another thing here too. Men are being abused too,
Yes.
and that's something nobody really talks about.
Ah. Wow. Any questions, Anselm? I need
No,
to take a break.
I am actually listening, and I read the book Quick to Listen, Slow to Speak sometimes, but I want to go back, Miss Khan. You had talked about that there were certain things you faced on Facebook. What kind of things did you face on Facebook as far as what was concerned?
Oh no, I was talking about my article on Facebook.
Oh, okay. You're talking about the article on Facebook.
Yeah, I was talking about my article. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but in the tough times that you face, right? What positive things do you try to utilize in order to put you in a sort of a different mood?
That's where my sewing came in.
That's where your sewing came in.
That's where my sewing came in.
And my poetry for me.
Right,
yeah,
right.
I could draw, so I would draw styles, and that's how designing became part of, and I would sew stuff,
Creative.
and well, it made money. So
For
But
me, it was my For me, it was my poetry and my storytelling and my poetry. So
right.
it took me off the road of going in the rabbit hole and go to creativity. And yeah.
Well, I
Go
wake
ahead,
up
Ansel.
actually for my clients too.
When I come to Trinidad, I come in to get measured, and you
Yes,
have to make me something. I bring in my
sure.
cloth, and you had to sew me something nice.
Sure,
I'm
for
going on
sure.
stage with it.
So
Good.
let's look at an
To
example.
realize who we dealing with here, she has been,
Guy,
she has all of our Miss Universe and Miss World out there looking top notch with the rest of the
Well,
world. You know,
well,
so,
she got dressed this global ambassador, and
Of
I'm going to
course.
let them know who, you know. Well, I don't tell them like, I a little curvy here, so you know.
That is why we need to sew. Trini, yeah, that's why you can't buy things off rack. You have to sew.
So it'll make it look nice on you.
so here's an
I like
example.
shirt.
Here's an example of I hope you could remember this one. Let me hold on. Let me go here. I just want to put up an example of something that you did. Let me add this right here. So this is an example of something that you did. Talk to us a little bit about this dress here. I know it's been a while, right?
This is actually I don't know if you remember long ago we had a hairdressing guru, Madam Mirage. This is actually her granddaughter. It's the cosmetic giant's hair, Sasha Cosmetics.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. This is actually an Indian wear. It came as fabric, but she wanted her Indian wear in something different. She just said, I want a twist. So if you notice, this skirt is the Indian wear. I made her a little bustier, and I used part of the skirt pattern. That's it going up from her neck. So I take Indian wear and actually give it a good Western twist.
Okay.
Yeah.
you see skill there.
I want a sari made out of kente cloth.
I do saris ready made, yeah, so easy to wear.
Out of kente cloth. Notice I said kente cloth. You know what kente cloth is?
You know what?
The African material,
yeah.
African print.
Okay. That's fine.
You know what I noticed, Miss Can, as we saw that dress, I see how you perked up and you smiled. You know, it was like a joy, you know.
I love my work and I love my clients. I got a note from a bride, a long essay just a few minutes ago, how happy they were with my work and even to meet me. They said they used to be excited to leave town to come to me. And they used to look forward to the fittings. Yeah.
So who are some of the famous who are some of the top people you think you have dressed in Trinidad? Give us 3 people, you know. I mean, I don't know if you want to give names, but you know, just for example, you know.
Well, I sew for our former Prime Minister, now opposition leader.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. This is coming up with professor.
Most of her clothes, yes, sir.
Okay.
2, a lot of the Miss World entries. My gown actually created one of my gown, Miss Trinidad 2015. She wore my gown on the big stage in China.
All right.
And then I have
That's Kimberly, right? That's Kimberly, right? Kimberly.
Yeah. And then I do for a lot of the I don't know how well they found me, the chutney artist Sunday.
Okay.
I do stage wear for some of the chutney artists. A couple of them.
Okay.
So
you know.
yeah, my name has gotten out there, and I am grateful for it.
So
I quite a good reputation.
So you're busy, so to speak. You're busy.
Yeah, right now weddings, people getting married. COVID has produced so many weddings.
Ooh.
Yeah. I am doing right now. I have Indian brides and all of that doing here now.
So you said you had a daughter, right?
Yes.
How was your daughter doing?
She is actually she lives in London.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because she likes it there, and she's actually a personal trainer.
Wow. Okay. Personal trainer. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a big girl. She's 27 this year, so she could take care of herself.
I would say so, right? You know.
Yeah.
You know. So
we have all my families in Canada, and she chose London because she don't want to be around everybody she knows.
Okay. So what do you think your daughter have learned from you? You know, as now that she's 27 years of age, what do you think she have learned from you in your quiet time when you guys talk with each other?
the one thing I never did, and I always tried from since she was a child, we never hide anything from each other. I was always straightforward with her, even like going to school and intimate things, meaning like people about touching you and all of that. I was very, very open about those things. And those are some of the things that she thanked me for being that open with her and telling her of consequences. And I also always use the example. I say, I'm telling you these things because I've been through it, right? I wouldn't make it up. And she has, basically she listened though. And one of the things though, I credit my my husband and my in-laws too, not so much me, spiritually. They brought up in a strict Muslim home. So that has a lot to do with it too. So she did turn out to be a very good child.
Right. So here's a quote from Chris Watson. Chris Watson said, Miss Sally, you need to do one more ink and put the strength of a true Caribbean queen. You're an inspiration.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I second that. I second that. You are an inspiration to me. Not to cross you. Where are you located in Trinidad? Just the town, because when I come
San Fernando. I'm San Fernando.
I'll be coming to get measured and all that, right? So
of course, yeah. Sure. I have, I'm always here. I'm always home.
Right. So Art says,
and I want to encourage some investors to get involved with her fashion institute, because I want to build some kind of a business structure that can help encourage the young people in our country, and to bring TNT in the international market. You're already there. Your name is out there. With these young ladies, they are put on the stage, and the world stage. So it's not like you're any strangers. All we need is some investors with you there now.
Because I was saying, not everybody. I mean, this is an old time saying too. Not everybody have book sense, and we need this trade back. We need tailors, seamstresses, plumbers, these kind of thing, like trade school.
Yeah.
Right.
But I would like to also see your brand. I would also like to see Sally Khan brand out there.
Our ex-prime minister, she always begged me. She always asked me to do my own line.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
So this is something I've been trying to encourage her for some years now.
Yeah, that's a great idea. What's your is it normally Sally Khan? Is it SK? Did you have
I used to go by Fine Fashions by Sally. But everybody now knows the name Sally Khan.
Okay.
Everybody now knows the name Sally Khan.
So just like Calvin Klein or any one of those things, I want to see Sally Khan out there. That's what I want to see.
Somebody actually told me they were in a wedding in Canada, and when people were comparing outfits, they were hearing my name.
All right.
Wonderful. So that's good. Right. So Art says businesswomen are independent, but we don't hear about them. Right. So I guess
I'm always on a stage somewhere, and I will liaise. When I'm in the area, like you measure me, and we'll cut, and we'll get them up to me, and we'll make me some stuff, and I will be wearing Sally Khan.
Yes, of course.
So another
I actually have one Trini Facebook friend. He's in LA doing movies. And I did message him and said, when you're ready for the red carpet, make sure and message me.
Another person says, Davis Emily, police lack empathy. It's rooted in their upbringing and compounded by the TTPS training in the academy.
Yeah.
He's talking about the police.
For sure.
Yeah.
We have to create that platform, It is not encouraged, it is not enforced. The training is not there, the structure is not there. There's more big talk than we see solutions, and they are not compelled to do what is necessary to be done. When you go to the station, they can get away with not doing the job, but by pushing you aside, with their friends getting involved. So this thing has to be. It has to be structured and put in place and enforced. that the social services must be called. It's your responsibility for the senior officer to make sure that this issue is addressed when it's reported in the station, and that the social services are dragged in and all the necessary resources, and determine if an extraction is necessary to get the person out of harm's way. There has to be follow up and follow through. It can't be done the way it's going, and we want to encourage you to advocate for this, and the politicians. We need to get on the politicians' case, to get involved. Not a bunch of old talk in parliament and no solutions to anything.
Yeah, because every time a child or a woman is murdered, we have this candlelit vigil, which I don't attend, because I don't see it making a difference. Walking around with a set of candles, you light the candles. Yet no politician, nobody comes, nobody addresses it, right? That's I don't even know how to start.
We have to make these politicians pay the price, Sal. We have to address them. They can't just vote for them because we're supposed to, and it's time we really take them on head on. We are trying on our end here. We're trying to connect with you guys on the ground so that we could all collaborate and get this thing moving. And get the issues. They are comfortable in where things are, and we want to flush them out of their comfort zone. We're trying to get things done. It can't be normal and business as usual.
No. Every other day, is something going on.
So another person says, Art says, understand there is no single answer to the problem. Every situation is similar yet different.
It's true.
Somebody else says, Lana says, listening to her makes me stay single till I dead.
Yeah, Lana.
So Miss Khan, are you gonna stay single till? Are you gonna?
Well, I enjoying my singleness right now.
Amen. Talk your talk, sister. Talk your talk.
I don't have to. I don't have to look over my shoulder. I don't have to worry about who talking to who on the phone.
Tell them.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have to worry about who kill me.
Amen. Talk your talk, sister. You're strong. And let me tell you, if the best company in the world is yourself. If you don't enjoy your own company, then something wrong.
And I have two cats. I have Lilo and Stitch.
Lilo and Stitch. I have a dog. I just got a dog. And I have 3 goldfish. And that's good for me.
Right. I am fine. People ask, you don't get lonely? No. I like my own time too.
Thank you. Yeah.
And share people like me traveling out from long distance.
Oh Lord, you know to block Gary.
Gary, people, I've been told people wake up just to see what I post on mornings.
Why is that?
People tell me I have them rolling.
Oh, okay.
With all my good stories.
So there's another comment from Davis Emily. He says legislation is great, but if we train the victims, they in turn can assist other victims. He's talking about, he says, our peer movement provides education and accredited certification statewide. This empowers the victim, to me, educated advocates. Right. So he's been here many times and he kind of deals with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think these are some of the things we have to start from in school too,
Yep.
Speaking to children from school now.
Yep.
So do they have any kind of this type of, as you talk about that, is there any type of thing like this at all in schools in Trinidad and Tobago?
They used to be, because that's when my daughter used to attend college. Once a week there used to be a psychologist. But I mean, you're going to a school full with about 800-900 students. That one day, you can't see all those children. So I guess she used to do like this group thing. And I still don't think that's enough. They don't have a like on staff, a counselor on staff, which I think like, away, probably have those. And they will say they don't have the money for it.
Yeah. That's the whole story in Trinidad. They don't have the
That's
money
something
for those.
needed because a lot of children will open up to a teacher or another friend in school.
But coming out of this COVID, they need to address a lot of stressors that children are returning to school with. A lot
I
of
was
them are
telling
coming.
somebody that in a few
Mm-hmm.
years' time, we will have a generation with
Mm-hmm.
eye problems from studying online
Mm-hmm.
and social anxiety.
Yep. Stressors.
Yeah.
And they need to put things in place now. Not take you out of school, take you from home and throw you back into school. You don't know what the child was going through at home
They
with
will have
whomever.
PTSD too, huh?
Oh yeah, it's coming.
I said that. They will have a whole generation of that.
No, it's coming. It's coming
And
because then
sad. Some,
a lot
some will
along.
not know how to cope.
Yep. From the online back to the in person, and then they're like, that's a big transition, and they're not doing it gradually, and they'll
No,
go back
straight
out.
into straight into.
Oh yeah. So
Sally, what I think the caliber of clientele that you have, and Mrs. Bisesa being one of them, I think
mm-hmm.
you can get their ear, for a conversation on this, and try to capitalize on that, and and then you make a public suggestion and that what you are thinking of and you would like to support in this direction, and we create a platform to encourage discussion where and you drag these people into the conversation, and maybe you have a meeting at one point, but you start off small and grab her, next time you see her, so this is what I'm thinking, and this is what Gary Mahabir, the Phantom, also suggested.
Oh,
But
yeah, Gary, there you
but
go.
I think you're well known, you're well recognized, and I think you have access to the right people. Should you decide to take a step in the direction, I think you would get the support. So I want to encourage that because we need to make a move, and this is we are, like I said, we are trying to connect with the people in Trinidad and across the globe, our people, bring them together, and to take on the issues and how we can make TNT a better place.
Yeah.
So Ms. Khan, how long does it take you to make one of these outfits for an individual? Do you do both men and women or mainly women?
I do both, but I more try to stick to the women's side.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because then
Go ahead.
yeah, I'll have too much line up outside.
So how long does it take you to make one of these outfits? How long would one outfit take you?
It depends on basically first it depends on the style, on the fabric. Um, I work fast and I work thorough. To produce a proper gown for me, you're talking about 4 days, 3-4 days.
What, that quick?
Yeah, from start to finish. My Missouri gown, we got funding on like a Sunday, and Monday I bought fabric. Tuesday I cut. I didn't know I was making it. Wednesday I stitch. Thursday she tried on. Friday we wrapped up, and Saturday was the show, and we won.
Wow, interesting. So when you go into an outfit, if a person doesn't have an idea, do you normally, you're the one that actually coming up with the idea, or the person comes to you and tell you, well, I want this type of dress, for example?
Okay, well, I have, okay. Sometimes, like strangers, I ask them to send me like little screenshots of things that they like, because if I know you personally, I will know what to do for you. You don't have to worry about it. But sometimes I don't know the person, so I would like little snippets of what you like, and I will merge it for you.
Okay.
A quick question, Sally. Did you sew a Janine brand outfit also? Any clothes for her?
No, I didn't do. I did last year, Tajane and the girl before.
Okay.
I didn't do anything for Janine this year.
So Ms. Khan, have there been any person that you did a dress for and you were very happy and you were glowing, and when the person come there was like, oh, I don't like that?
No. I mean, not for the last. I mean, not for the last 20 years.
Okay.
probably was and a little inexperienced. I would like little botch things. But now I am so confident. I tell them beforehand, I said, yeah, come pick up, you'll love it.
Oh, that's great.
I envision it on the clients. Like I have some Indian wear here. I already know how it's going to look on the clients. I know she would like it.
And do you have like an album of all the dresses that you have made in the past, of all the individuals that you have made?
Yes, I don't keep pictures, but I have like certain ones I have, like I put it up in my shop. I frame some, like past our past PM and all that. I frame some. I have to look for pictures to show clients.
Right.
But then
you need to start to do that, because when you write your book, that those things will come in very handy.
But the good thing about me, I've built the name that I go by referrals, so people know my work. I don't even advertise my work on Facebook. I hardly put out anything out there. So I go by referrals. People see other people's outfits and ask.
It's so interesting, right? And we are so happy that you are very enthusiastic, and sometimes people don't know what that another person have gone through and is still going through. They might see this outward, gregarious person is always cheerful and always laughing, but they never know,
I started even after I got that clinical depression under control. And like I told you, I tried committing suicide twice. I was in Ward 1 already. And I want people to know that the mental illness could look like this too. You don't have to be pulling out your hair, out your head. Mental illness, it can, there's medication for it. You don't have to worry about it. I was put in Ward 1, and I'll give you all a little joke. I drank kerosene. Same boyfriend that used to beat me. And they sent me down in Ward 1, and here it was now. This doctor came and he sat behind the desk, and he was talking to me now, and he was asking all the questions like what happened and so on. I'm telling him my whole story and bawling my eyes out, right? For a whole hour. And then this Chinese lady came in her doctor coat, and she told the guy, "What are you doing here? Go back in your ward."
You told you talking to the doctor.
Yeah, one of the crazies.
That is really funny. That's really funny. But I gotta tell you, we want you to continue, inspiring people for a better tomorrow. Your attitude and all the success that you have made through all the tribes and tribulations. I have a quote that says your circumstances may determine who you are, but you are responsible for who you become. You have embodied that. In spite of the circumstances, you didn't let that hold you back, from doing the things that you wanted to do.
I wanted to be somebody.
And you actually are somebody, a very important person. Yeah, in Trinidad and Tobago.
It's like this. I mean, like I said, I ended up twice trying to commit suicide, and each time, I pop back out and I say, "Well, okay, you're not ready for me then." It had to be, yeah. So I said, okay, I keep going. There's something there for me.
No, well, that's so good. We want you to continue along that road, and whenever some of those moments come, just remember to go look to sew a dress or keep that positive eye going. So that other stuff, and just remember that you control your mind, and don't let your mind control you.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because sometimes it happens, your mind is telling you, "Oh, I want you to do this. I want you to do this," and you gotta tell your mind, not tell your body. Go by someone else.
And sometimes people annoy the hell out of you. I mean, why she acting so? Why she snapping? But they don't understand.
I've learned so much to control. Like, I mean, I know now, like, to stay silent sometimes, and except when I'm driving. Except when I'm driving in Trinidad. But I've learned now people will never know how you're really feeling. It makes no sense. I will not put my, let's say, sourness on somebody then.
But I
You
didn't do
never
that.
know. Yeah.
No, it happens to me, and I'm not until somebody says something to me like, oh shit, oh gosh, Diana, you did, and what I do, I pull away from the situation altogether, and go and work on myself, and I come back. But what I don't like is when I'm there and people pushing my buttons, because if you recognize that I'm not well or something is going on with Diana, don't push Sally Miss Can's buttons. If you keep pushing your buttons, you want to blow, right? You want to blow on them. But I learn that they don't understand, Diana. They're not equipped to deal with you. You have to be big enough to pull away.
After I crossed 50, I told myself, I don't want to stress out because I don't want wrinkles.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Ms. Khan, we want to say thank you so much for joining us and telling us your story. We'd actually like to have you back, at some point in the future, because a lot of people have to hear, this story of yours, because, you went from a certain place, to a different place now, and you could be a really, really positive role model to many young ladies who may have gone through that same thing and currently going through the same thing. Any closing words before you go?
Well, actually, I will close with where did it go? My tattoo.
Okay.
This is stay strong in Arabic.
Okay.
All right.
Stay strong.
Excellent.
Right.
Excellent.
Whatever you think. I one word I try to one line I use. I may probably steal a line from somebody, but I always say it's just a bad day, not a bad life.
Correct. Correct is right.
Yeah.
We want to thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I will be in touch. I'll be in touch. I want my sari made, okay?
Sure, get my number from him.
Yeah, will do.
Okay,
thank you, sister. I'll be in touch with you. Thanks.
Okay, good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. So there you have it, folks. Oh boy. You know what I mean?
Top of the hour.
Yeah. Okay, folks. It's in the village with the dark triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We're gonna go for a quick station identification. Stick and stay, don't go nowhere. It's in the village with the dark triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. And coming up, we have some individuals from SWMCOL. We're gonna deal with that when we come back.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
We are back with you. It's in the village with the dark triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to you every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. That's Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. So guys, stick and stay, don't go nowhere. We have coming up with us the former CEO of SWMCOL, Mr. Ronald Roach. We also have another gentleman who's been here before. He's a current worker at SWMCOL, Jason Thomas. And we're also trying to get a third individual who actually worked at SWMCOL some time ago. I think he's retired now, and they're going to join us in the village in just another minute or so. And they're already in the background waiting, So, I want to say to Sally, Miss Sally Can, and that, she's a strong lady. And I mean, that's why I wanted Diana to kind of talk with her, because, Diana understands her plight, so, I mean, she's an inspiration, from going to where she came from to where she's sitting at now, and
what, the police department and legislation, they all need to fix things, because St. Lucia fix it where you hit a woman, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. What are you beating on the women for? And you understand why I say to women, so it was in the beginning, so it will be near. He backhand you in the beginning, take your little Georgie bundle and go. Leave him be.
Yeah, Diana, but our leaders, our politicians have to stand up in the country, and our community leaders have to stand up. We have to take a stand. And we can't allow these politicians to get by with these things and not do anything about it. We have to mount the pressure.
Them ain't standing up for me, so I stand up for myself.
Well, exactly, but what I'm saying to you is whoever stand up got to mount the pressure on them. They see people do things because they think they can get away with it. There's no challenges for it. And when we out here connecting with those on the ground home, I think we're making a drastic difference.
But I want to say one thing: the violence comes in either direction, from male to female, from female to male. But just that the male are too ashamed to speak up and let it be known that they're being abused from time to time. And I realize
I'm so sorry males are being abused. Okay, Tommy, who do you? I have tears in my eyes. But most of the time, it's the women that are being abused. And I say, Diana Benz can say, the first time he back on you pick up something and you let him know where it's at, and you take your Georgie bundle and you go. You ain't have to stick around for nothing. Forget love.
You know, Diana, there's a lack of resources that we have to push for these resources.
But there's a lack of resources. The police ain't doing nothing, so you can stay and get your tail.
No, I'm not saying they're not saying. I understand your point, but what I'm saying is we have to push. We have to raise our voice. We have to push for these resources to be put in this place.
Until the resources come, bust him upside his head, take your Georgie bundle and go. He's going to do it again.
Well, no, I'm saying let's light a fire.
That is my advice to the women. Forget the love and forget the ding-a-ling and go. He's gonna bust you upside your head.
So let's just focus a little bit here, because I think this discussion here is a very important discussion especially regarding the things happening on the Beetham landfill. Let me bring in the former CEO of SWMCOL. Hold on, let me do 1 minute. Let me see 1 minute here. Hold on. All right, here we go. Okay, let's bring in the former CEO of SWMCOL, no other than Mr. Ronald Roach. We're also going to be adding, Jason Thomas. Let me add Jason Thomas as well. Hold on a minute. Hey, Jason, you ready, buddy? Let me add Jason Thomas. Let me do this. I'm going to put Gary. I'm putting in the background for now, okay? All right, let me add Stephen Rennie to also. Mr. Rennie, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Good night to the panel. Okay. Good night.
Wonderful. How are you doing? So, since this is Mr. Roach's first time, I just want to say welcome to In the Village with the DAG Triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. When we say DAG, that's GAG. DAG is Diana. Diana is contributed to Storm. That's the Mr. Roach already laughing.
What's so funny, Mr. Roach? What's so funny? Huh?
Just smiling at the warm welcome to me. So good night, all.
Yeah. It's very simultaneous. Take your Georgie bundle. So we also have with us.
Who talking there?
Oh, I think I don't know if that's Jason Thomas. Jason is a worker at SWMCOL, and we have with us a third person, and that person was also here with us before. He is Stephen Rennie. All right. So let's deal with Mr. Roach first. So of course the DAG is DAG. Diana is considered to be the Storm. I'm Anselm. They call me Flash or Wall Street. Then there's Gary. Gary's considered the Phantom. And then we have a fourth person who is called Tommy. Tommy is a commissioner here in Newark, New Jersey. So Mr. Roach, welcome to WZYE 95.9 FM. How are you doing, sir?
Good night, and thank you, and happy to be here. I'm doing fine, thank you.
So, I mean, there's so much to talk to you about, being that what we see happening now at the Beetham landfill, but before we start that,
somebody has on something.
Hold on. Just as a matter of fact, for information, right? If I'm correct, there are 4 landfills in Trinidad and Tobago, right? There's Beetham, there's Guanapo, there's Forest Park, and then there's the Studley Park in Tobago. Is that correct?
That's almost correct. There is one additional at Guapo in Point Fortin, and that's run by the Point Fortin Borough Corporation.
Oh, so there's 5 then?
Yeah, there are actually 5. Yeah, the 5th one is a very small one compared to the others, but yeah, I mean, technically there are 5.
So I was just looking at some information previously, right? And it stated that there is 700,000 ton of waste that Trinidad produces every year, which is about 2,000 tons per day. You know, just give us a little background when, I mean, 700,000 tons. Just give us a little background that when all this waste go into these dump, what actually happens with all this waste?
Right. So 700,000 tons is actually a 2010 figure. So the last actual waste classification was done in 2010. The reality is none of these sites have landfill scales to weigh the waste coming in. And sorry, let me just correct myself. Studley Park in Tobago does have a scale. That scale has been working periodically. So there is some information from the Studley Park landfill site, but generally the sites don't have scales to weigh the waste coming in, to measure the waste, the amount of waste that is that comes in. So that figure of 2010 was when the last study to measure waste was done. And of course, that's now 12 years ago. So it's anticipated that by now there's much more than that 700,000 tons. The challenge is that, yeah, that waste comes into these various landfill sites and it really just stays there. It slowly decomposes, and in decomposing, depending on you know what is in the waste, it creates different gases, methane being one of the main gases, and methane is explosive. So when you have landfill fires like this, it's usually because of the methane continuing to propel the fire. And so and that's a natural aspect of the waste decomposition at the landfill sites. The problem with our sites is that it's not engineered landfill sites, and what that means is that the waste is just being buried. There's little engineering being applied. There are no liners to contain the liquids, and again, with the decomposition of waste, liquids called leachate will be generated, and those liquids have toxic components, things like heavy metals and different chemicals, again, depending on the type of waste. And because we don't have linings on our site, it means that leachate is seeping through the site into the to the groundwater. And so what we're doing really is just it's really just delaying the problems. Because we don't have sanitary landfill sites, we are not treating the waste in a proper manner. 700,000 tons of waste for an island state is, you know, a lot of waste, and eventually we're going to run out of space. So the Beetham landfill should have been closed many years ago. The Guanapo landfill is at its complete end right now. There's very little space to continue to landfill, and those are the more critical of the sites that we have, and they are ticking time bombs. There's no other way to describe it. They're ticking time bombs in the sense that it's chemicals, it's many different compounds. We don't always know what is in there because of the lack of an overarching legislative system to limit the types of waste coming in. It's supposed to be municipal landfill sites, municipal waste, but in reality, because we're an industrialized country as well, a lot of other types of waste and chemicals do in fact come into the sites.
You know, I hear that word quite often since in order for this, when we understand that you were coming in here. So it's leachate, it's Leachate, right? And I wanted to know, you know, what it is. So, I mean, I looked up the definition. So just tell the people who are listening what exactly that is?
Right. So leachate is a liquid substance that is produced from the decomposition of waste. Once you have a landfill site and you start burying waste, the waste will start to decompose either organically with oxygen or aerobically or anaerobically, with or without oxygen, and it's a liquid that contains all the chemicals that would have been in the original waste. And therefore, for any landfill site, you need a mechanism for proper sanitary engineered landfilling. You need a mechanism to treat with that leachate. It's a natural product of decomposition, and therefore you need to have a leachate treatment system. And again, unfortunately, in our landfills, we don't have leachate treatment systems. Beetham, of course, was developed in the 1960s, and it was actually, waste was being deposited in the swamp at that time, so it was backfilling the swamp area. The reality is, if a country tries to do that now, there will be international outcry. How can you, be contaminating a swamp and so? But because it was done way back then, it was more accepted at that point in time. But because of that fact, there is no ability to have a leachate collection or treatment system at Beetham, and therefore that leachate, which may or may not contain toxic materials, may or may not contain heavy metals, that is not treated and goes into the environment. Yeah, so that's one of the challenges of the inappropriate landfill disposal practices that we have in Trinidad. And the other one, of course, is that of the threat of and the fires that take place.
Now, what caused you to resign as this? You were the CEO of SWMCOL, correct?
I was. I spent 4 years as CEO.
And when did you resign?
2019. I resigned in 2019. I mean, so I had a responsibility as CEO of SWMCOL to manage the country's waste, and in reality, I just couldn't do that effectively, and it just did not make sense for me. It was a personal decision, and I mean, despite my best efforts, SWMCOL, one of the challenges with waste management is SWMCOL is a limited liability company. It's government owned, and SWMCOL itself does not have the regulatory powers, the authoritative powers to make the critical decisions necessary for proper waste management. So we can make recommendations, we can appeal and beg government, and if government doesn't listen, then it makes it, there's nothing else we can do. And yeah, I mean, I felt that it was time to give someone else a try. I certainly tried and could not make any significant progress, and I felt it was just wasting time.
Do you ever think that we can get SWMCOL to the level that it needs to operate in order to make the landfills more safe in Trinidad and Tobago?
It's just a decision. I mean, we are not lacking financial resources. We are not lacking technical resources. It's just a decision. It's just a commitment that somebody has to make to be able to do that. It's very doable. When I started in this waste management field, we had to go to countries like the US and Europe for best practice examples. And so now we just have to go to Barbados, we just have to go to Guyana, to Belize, to Martinique and Guadeloupe. And these countries have gotten it right. Not that they aren't challenges, but they deal with the challenges effectively. And, so therefore it's not overwhelming if you deal with it from a logical perspective, if you deal with it from a perspective of public health and environment and you recognize that waste management is a function just like just like schools, just like policing and so, and you have to put the resources into what needs to be done. The country generates waste, and that waste has to be disposed of. Somebody has to do it. Somebody has to bear the cost of it. And once we get those things right, then it's very easy to implement systems that need to be implemented. Since 1979, there was a solid waste master plan done for Trinidad and Tobago, and that was quite a comprehensive document. And I mean, I must commend the government at that time for recognizing the challenges of waste management way back in 1979 and recognizing that, you know, a holistic system is needed. That holistic system was developed as a solid waste master plan for the country. And unfortunately, a lot of that master plan was just not implemented. So since 1979, we spoke about the need for recycling and resource recovery. We spoke about the need for having a waste management agency in the country. And those things have not been implemented. We spoke of the need for a transfer station system to reduce the amount of landfills, because landfills are expensive undertakings, and the country was too small for having this multiplicity of landfills. So it's very doable, and as I said, all it takes is commitment at a senior government level to have things done.
Right, Diana.
Mr. Roach, how are you doing? This is Diana.
Hi, Diana.
I'm also a poet and a global ambassador and a humanitarian. I'm not always a storm, okay? But certain topics get me irate. The leachate you talk about, and my good friend Jason was here earlier, an earlier program, and he talked about they're not having the adequate PPEs for the workers to to work in the landfill area. So if these leachates are so toxic and the workers don't have adequate PPE, that means that they're exposed to all kinds of things, and they can take it home to their families. And then I saw a video where the trucks were coming in and there wasn't any area for the trucks to wash the wheels off before they go out and traverse the throughways in Trinidad and Tobago. Why is that?
Yeah, simply because there's just lack of understanding of waste management. Our waste management practices have not changed since the 1980s. We have not improved our systems. So 1979 was when the master plan was done, and there was some work being done in the early 80s. In the early 80s was when there was the Chase Charlie Away public education campaign as well, which was a national and very successful waste management public education program, and it did reach almost all of the population and did teach them about responsible waste management practices and anti-littering and so forth. But since then, we have not made any incremental improvements, or very little. I shouldn't say any, but very little. We have done some more work in recycling and so, but our landfill practices certainly have not changed. And of course, waste has gotten more complex since then. We have now had electronics and different types of chemicals and composites now appearing in our waste. And so despite the complexity of the waste, the increasing complexity, we have not just improved our systems. And yeah, so when Jason speaks about PPE is really the last resort from a health and safety point of view. You want to deal with the hazards first and foremost, and prevent the hazards from being present in the first place. So an engineered landfill, having proper controls, having proper roadways, having a leachate system, having a system to prevent and minimize fires. Fires, again, can be a natural part of a landfilling process, but you want systems that if there's a fire, it can be dealt with very quickly without having the type of situation that we saw at Beetham today. But again, it all has to be part of a plan, and that plan has to be most significantly, it has to be properly funded. And if there are not the funds to have cover material to cover the waste and proper roadways and so, then you're going to have the problems that we do. So
if you're running out of space, right? You said like Guanapo and the Betham is, you know, what do you propose? Where else can they go and dump the nation's trash and garbage?
Yeah, and certainly that's one of the big challenges. So I spoke about transfer stations earlier, and one of the options, the landfill site at Forest Park, we're on our first phase of landfilling there still, and there's room for a larger, and again, engineered landfill. So when we talk about landfills, you know, we have the perception of what Betham looks like, and Betham is not your typical engineered 21st century landfill. Betham is a dump site. So we have to remove that idea from our mind when we talk about engineered landfills. And the Forest Park has the space for a proper engineered landfill. And again, since 1979, we spoke about the need for transfer stations. So where Betham is now can become a transfer station. Where Guanapo is now can also become a transfer station. And what is that? That's just a big space, a big concrete covered space where you bring the waste and you engage in sorting. So removing recyclable materials, plastics, paper, cardboard, metals, and so. You also can combine your transfer station with what are called material recovery facilities, where you have source separated waste, much as in much of the United States and all of Europe. And so instead of having all the waste combined in a single bin, you have source separation, and then you bring everything together and sort it and you know, find markets for your recyclables. And so all those things we have to do. We have spoken about it. We have put it in writing since 1979. We have put it in writing several times after that. But we have not gotten it done because there is the lack of that urgency. There's the lack of an overarching authority for waste management in the country. So who is responsible for waste management? Well, it's Ministry of Planning to a certain extent. It's Ministry of Public Utilities because SWMCOL is under their control. It's Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government because they're the ones collecting waste. It's Ministry of Health because medical waste is under their responsibility. It's Ministry of Trade and Industry because scrap metals is under that ministry. And so our waste management system is very fragmented, much more fragmented than most other countries, and that is one of the problems. Who really has that responsibility? It's you know, up in the air. Nobody takes that responsibility. Nobody wants to change what is happening now and change that horrible consequence that we saw.
Mr. Roach. Mr. Roach.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yeah, Tom here, Commissioner Tom here. Now, you are talking about landfills, and mostly in the first world, landfills are a thing of the past because we have come up with systems and waste management systems that actually produce energy and other byproducts from waste now that has eliminated landfills and even helped in cleaning up landfills. Have you ever been introduced to any of those systems that we can deploy here in Trinidad and not even have to worry about having garbage in landfills that are so dangerous and threatens our good health in this place?
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for that. And yeah, just to put that in perspective. So at the very end of the process, you need to have landfills. So even if you operate recycling, there are some items that can't be recycled. There's some residue from your recycling system, and even if you have a waste energy plant, there's some residue from the waste energy plant, including ash and so. So the final point is for landfilling. Whether we have a waste energy facility or a recycling facility. And so, I mean, a waste energy facility, for instance, the planning horizon for that is minimum 10 years. So even if the government said, yes, we're going to have a waste energy plant today, it's not going to happen for 10 years. So what needs to happen in those 10 years? We need to landfill. So we still have to talk about landfilling. because it represents that final aspect of the waste management hierarchy. But certainly, and that's what I was alluding to with respect to the material recovery facilities and with respect to curbside collection. And so then we need to start reducing that amount of waste that needs to be landfilled in the first instance. But in the meantime, that waste, the final product is landfilling. With respect to waste energy, one of the points that we need to make with respect to waste energy is that waste energy is a complex solution. And we have to recognize that landfilling is, in fact, the simplest solution for waste management. And if we can't get landfilling right, then there's no way we can run waste energy plants. So it comes back to that basic building block of that landfill that needs to accept the final product, whether it be the waste, whether it be the end of the recycling process or the end of the waste energy process. And we need to get that right before we start building on the more and trying to develop more.
But are you aware of the fact that all of the byproducts from a waste energy plant are useful?
I'm very familiar with waste energy, and as I said, I mean, waste energy is a complex solution. Yes, it is useful, but waste energy as well, and one of the myths that a lot of people have is that waste energy solves your problems. And the fact is, waste energy itself can be complex. If you don't get it right, it can be catastrophic, and it is also costly. So landfilling is the cheapest form of waste disposal, waste treatment. It is the cheapest form.
Up front, it seems to be the cheapest, but ultimately it's much more expensive.
Again, it depends on how you look at things, and a lot of different factors. So in the US, for instance, in a lot of the US, landfilling is the preferred form of waste disposal. Outside of the East Coast and the West Coast, everything else in the US is landfill, because they based on the availability of the land and so on, based on the fact that they have developed landfilling to a very significant extent. Having proper monitoring and controls, having proper systems for waste segregation, and so waste energy is very popular and much more accepted in highly populated areas, and so. But as I said, I mean, so for waste energy, there are many prerequisites that we have to look at. Including the amount of waste, the calorific value of the waste, the moisture content of the waste. We have not begun to do things like that. And until we do that, then we can't assess how viable waste energy is at this point in time. So I'm not saying that waste energy is not the issue. I myself have been involved in the waste energy tender that Ministry of Energy would have issued. And that tender itself was showed the complexities of waste energy, because only 2 companies out of 22 actually submitted bids. So it shows that waste energy itself is not, as I said, the ultimate solution if we don't put some of the more fundamental things in place. So we have to recognize that. We have to recognize that, yes, waste energy is a solution. It has worked in a number of developed countries. But we have to be aware as well that there have been a number of attempts at waste energy in the Caribbean region that has ended in failure. There's a waste energy plant that was built in Aruba that was never able to be operated. Again, because they didn't get it right. There are waste energy plants that were installed in St. Lucia fairly recently that now has to be shut down because, again, they didn't get it right. So waste energy, yes, it's a solution, but it's a solution that requires a lot of thought, a lot of planning, a lot of prerequisites through feasibility studies, through waste classification exercises, which we haven't done and which needs to be done, and it has to be put into perspective. And again, it's notwithstanding all of that, it's also a more costly alternative. So if we have if the challenge right now is finance, and SWMCOL can't get the finance to run the cheapest form of waste disposal, then where are we going to get the finance to run a more expensive form of waste disposal? Who is going to pay for it? And so those are the issues that need to be addressed. And I mean, again, we have to have the discussions at a public level. The government has to determine what is its policy with respect to waste energy. What does it want to achieve? And then how can we go about implementing a waste energy solution?
All right, so let me bring in Mr. Stephen Rennie right now. Mr. Rennie, how are you doing, sir?
Good night to the panel. Good night to Mr. Roach, Jason, and Professor,
welcome back,
my lady,
right.
Miss.
Right, it's Diane. Yeah, welcome back to In the Village. So, so Stephen, you are part of the voice of the workers there in the Beetham landfill, and you know you are now retired, right? So, you know, we see that there's the fire that happened. I think it started on Wednesday night, and I think it's still burning, right? So talk to us a little bit about that, being that you actually worked in that system. I mean, has there ever been this sort of a fire previously in the past?
Yes, it had this fire from since 2002 coming right back to 2022. To tell you the truth, at that time, you're working on a fire light in the dry season. And you can't out it because remember, you're taking waste, all kind of waste. Toxic waste, e-waste, household waste, and put it on a spot and cover it with dirt. You're not putting no cylinders to breathe out the gas that it will accumulate. So when a paper and thing started to deteriorate and form different things and start to burn, remember, I don't want to tell the panel because I find Mr. Roach, I gave all you enough. Mr. Roach is the first CEO I see in my 50 years that bringing things to Trinidad and Tobago that makes sense. Because all my life since I was a little boy 60 years ago, we have oil and buying tires, it have Benz, it have any kind of vehicle thing it have in the world, it have in Trinidad. And every vehicle carry 4 tires and a spare. And it's only when I get the opportunity to meet Mr. Ronald Roach, I really respect for this CEO. I realized that, you know, we missing something. When I started to work in 2002, they're digging 80 by 80 and burying tires. And as Mr. Roach went to the government and had to beg these people who run in the country and seeing about the public and the people to tell them we had to start to grind the tires and use the material for agricultural road. He bring in recycling plastic bottle. This person who's here saying he's the CEO, we're going and talk, the greatest political lie I ever seen in my whole life. I ain't care if he backs me. You cannot go and stand up on the public television and tell people living on the beach and savage that if a man coming with a truck in a place where he's throwing paper and he throw out a cigarette, it could cause a fire in dry season. A big bush fire light about 2 months ago. The things that as a CEO under the management that said the bill will was take $1 million from the government. They have a board. A board supposed to give the community answers to the spending of taxpayers' money. Trinidad in a bad state. In I know Mr. Shiva Singh, Mr. Braffett, Mr. Tate, Mr. Hernandez, all of them is past CEO in my working tenure. I had an opportunity to sit down as a union chop short on the union table, and the honest person, I telling anybody in here and now, all over the world, bring sense in waste to Trinidad and Tobago, who went and get a little insight according. I ain't travel like him and go around the world, Barbados have an engineer landfill, and we have hundreds of millions and billions of dollars spent, and we don't have an engineer landfill. So I had to say, I'm educated as the degrees and all of that as Mr. Roach, but it make me learn plenty things. Yeah, I started to work in 2002 as a worker man. As I tell all already in our next program, the next question I didn't hear all I asked the ex-CEO is how much workers and what is the wage and how the workers is PPE and all them things. When a worker retire, what benefit you have, what pension plan, what special insurance. This regime coming and changing it, and nobody investigating. The only people I feel is the police and people who doing their own thing. Anything else in ministry, government look like it's like something wrong. Because SWMCOL, we're talking about waste and leach and toxic. Just the other time, maybe the man, all the thing we're leaking out, going down and damaging. Them don't cross the whole windbreaker, the equator. It ain't nobody to take check on balances and nothing. So since Mr. Roach leave because of political pressure or whatever, everything just stay how it is, and even worse because when Mr. Roach was there, it had 10 truck running right now, it's 2 contracts. That truck working management are going to lie. Big political meeting with liars. I don't know if when you was a millionaire and I was a poor man and we die, you go in a different place to me. All that we have to go. I believe in God, I believe in the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. According to Mr. Roach, when Mr. Roach decided to retire, I decided after I reach 60, I go, no, I'm not working with the management. Because they're bringing their friends and family who don't know nothing and putting square peg. And when the union going in meeting and telling the government and the public, nobody are taking on that. SWMCOL workers still working for 2020, 13 salary in 2022 in rubbish after a pandemic at 2 years. Nobody even know where the pandemic it is rubbish. And these workers, as a government entity, who is empty, the prime minister been, the president been, the whole government, every ministry been, and the waste coming there, and SWMCOL in charge of it, and nobody, some people don't even know, but the minister of public utilities never visit SWMCOL, he never cross this highway. He don't know who are going on there, who working for what and nothing. When they put them on camera, they stand up. Look how they have the only CEO. I swear, whoever stand up and tell government they need to get a tire cheddar, they buy a baby one. They don't buy the right big one to grind all the big tire. Machine to grind plastic, to compact it, to even ship it and bring in it. They only on political thing and feel use a UNC and use a PNM and so how the country go really get to fix? If I as a PNM and I could do this and you ain't give me no work because you ain't in power, all them things damaging the country. There are workers who retire since I started work. Now I reach 60, September is 61 years. All the workers who I know when I was working, they deceased. My supervisor who I started with deceased. Plenty supervisor, Mr. Grant deceased. I just sit down here now home, somewhere around over. And even the fire, I send some pictures and them things. And it happening so for more than 60 years, after hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, more than Barbados, more than some of the places Mr. Roach will tell you. But what they doing with the money, the people money. When time for you to resign after you done slave and work so hard for next to nothing, they don't even want to give you benefits. Up to now, me and always speaking, up to now, they make a mistake, me know it be higher and they make when they go correct it when I disease. So it's have a whole set of management structure need to be restructured from the board right down, right? And the government at the day, whether you're a private man, whether you're from UE, whether you're a doctorate and 20 degree, you have to ask the government if you should do this, and if they tell you no is no, and if they say yes is yes. And if it's the friend or the parties, you might get too quick. Here the next one when they move as the Attorney General, he started to talk about the waste and the thing, and none of them never went and they dump in their life. Mr. Roach is the first COIC walk that place and make people who they calling savages learn to have a job to help Trinidad and Tobago, to move some of the waste and start to do separation. None of that wasn't in Trinidad and Tobago before Mr. Roach come. The union know that, I know that, every worker in SWMCOL know that, because I don't want to be no judgmental, but I believe, this is my opinion, because of political and pressure. He decide if I can't see the right thing or do the right thing. This man is the most generous, honest man I meet since working. I swear on all my
let me ask Mr. Roach that question. Mr. Roach, you think Jason is circling. I can't get Jason back. His internet. Let me see if I have him. So Mr. Roach, do you think your resignation was because you had some political interference and you felt you couldn't take it no more, and it's better for you to pack your bags and basically move on to something else?
Well, I mean, in that position, political interference or political intervention is part of the course, you know. So it's not about political interference; it's about being unable to do what is required as a CEO of a national waste management company. And if I'm given a task, it's either I can get it done or I can't. And based on the circumstances, political, legislative, and certainly financial, certainly, you know, what I was mandated to do could not be done. And more than that, I mean, in terms of waste management decisions, and so I was tasked with, you know, improving the waste management situation in the country, and to do that, you have to have a knowledge of waste management. And when you are asked to do things that are not technically sound and will not improve waste management, then it becomes pointless. So I could not support some of the decisions that were made at higher levels than me, and I felt, again, it did not make sense. I didn't want to be part of it, and I would not, you know, want to be associated with some of those decisions, and therefore I felt it was best to leave and best to give somebody else that opportunity.
So are you still involved in the waste management? Are you still involved in waste management?
Yeah, I'm very much involved in waste management. I'm involved in consultancy work. I'm doing a couple of projects in Trinidad with SWMCOL as well, and within the Caribbean. So I'm involved quite significantly in a recycling project in St. Lucia, looking to develop a similar project in Grenada right now, and then doing some other work in the Caribbean.
You know, I don't get that though. I don't get how you have a person with the experience. Let me bring in Jason as well. I don't get how we have a person. Hold on. I don't get.
He can walk up. I see it back at the screen.
1 minute.
Yeah. Where the charger?
Hold on. Okay, somebody, hold on a minute. Let me take this.
Mute Jason's mic.
Yeah. So Mr. Roach, I hear what you just say, right? I don't understand. Well, maybe I do understand, but maybe I'm just being naive. I don't understand how we have people with the expertise and then leave Trinidad and Tobago and go up the islands to give the expertise to other islands. I mean, am I naive? Is that what I'm being naive? Is that what it is?
Well, certainly from my point of view, it's a question of survival. You know, this is my occupation, and I have to make a living somewhere. And you know, I provide my skills to those who want it, and so. Yeah, I mean, it's just reality. It happens all the time, and you know, it doesn't mean that there aren't other people who can be involved at the level of SWMCOL and the Ministry of Public Utilities, and so. So to me, it's just a natural, you know, course of activities, and the reality is SWMCOL in itself has not. In the 1980s, SWMCOL was formed in 1980, and in the late 1980s, early 1990s, SWMCOL was involved in development of a lot of the waste management systems for the OECS countries, and at that time, the OECS was in a bad state from a waste management point of view, and they have now since upgraded through the involvement of SWMCOL. So again, SWMCOL has been a company that had a lot of expertise in waste management. Waste management, of course, is specific training. At that time, training was not so readily available, and so it now, you know, there are much more courses and training opportunities available for waste management. But we have to recognize that waste management is not just about, you know, throwing waste in an open site, and so it is an engineering in fact, it's a multifaceted discipline that you have to have specialized training for, especially given the complexities of waste now. Other countries have certainly realized that, and yeah, you know, a lot of our Caribbean neighbors, Barbados as you know, a wonderful example, have gone so far ahead of us in the area of waste management. One of the things that drives those other countries is the fact that they depend on tourism, and you know, tourists not going to come to a place that has litter and has smoke billowing out of a landfill. And so from that point of view, you know, it has been extremely driven to some extent, but they have embraced it and they have recognized their deficiencies and worked along to correct those deficiencies. And that, unfortunately, is something that we haven't learned here in Trinidad. What happened at Beetham today? It was bound to happen. It was bound to happen because over the past 2 years, SWMCOL's subvention has gotten cut. So it's not about SWMCOL itself. SWMCOL, you know, a lot of the site supervisor there who is probably still on the site dealing with that fire, and so they're doing the best that they could, but the finances are not there. And simple things like covering the waste with dirt to prevent fires, to prevent or to reduce the infiltration of leachate and so the production of leachate. They can't do that because they don't have the funds to buy that cover material. And so so it goes back to understanding the nature of waste management and the need to deal with it in a scientific and a technical way. And unfortunately, the powers that be, they still don't have that understanding.
So let me bring in Jason now. Hey, Jason. How are you doing, Jason?
Yeah, good night, everyone.
Good night, Jason. They call you the man who's stirring up all the problems, you know.
Yeah, that's it. I'm the chief troublemaker. I already see what is going on.
You stirring up you putting all kind of videos going all across social media with the black smoke and but Jason, we'll come again, man. But Jason, yeah, really, man, you know what? You still work there, right?
Yeah, indeed.
So what is it like to still work there, Jason? I mean, give us an idea of what it's like to still work there, man. And you're looking at this fire, you know, and you're seeing this black smoke. By the way, that's still happening as we speak, right?
Yeah. And it's very tormenting because when you come in that kind of conditions daily, and especially when you start to become aware of the kind of things you're exposed to. I would have sent you all a link where Joshua Simongol and myself and Rennie did a thing called a series called No Time to Waste.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Joshua went to the specialists and the persons and the professors and so on with the environment who did some studies, and they was explaining the kind of things and heavy metals and chemicals and these sort of things that the workers and the people around exposed to, and it's very alarming. You know, it's very you know, it's very kind of frightening. It's very frightening to know that these things is what we coming into every day and have to remain for 6 and 8 hours on that place. As I said, some years ago, a past CEO who was CEO plus chairman would have tried to get the workers who are not landfill workers to be away from these sites because of the fact that these sites are so concentrated, as Macomb ready to say. They're trying to say the engineering are dumb, but they're not engineering are dumb, the engineering are time bomb. You know, and as Mr. Roach rightly said also just now there, the time bomb is ticking. Anytime anything can happen, and as Macomb just highlighted Stephen Rennie, when he highlighted that the Lion CEO, and as a fact he's a Lion CEO, because when you can come on the media to try to chastise the salvagers who've played a pivotal role, a real vital role over the years while SWMCOL and the government was not into recycling, was these same said salvagers who kept the dump running because they were recycling, they were retrieving metals, they were retrieving bottles, plastic, cloth, you name it. They were doing the recycling for decades. And when this Lion CEO could come to call these, to say that these salvagers are responsible for the fires and trying to keep away from the fact that the open garbage that they have in there without covering it, and the fact that they don't have the pipes to trap the gases, and everything is just dumped, mixed together. And as I highlighted on the video today, the e-waste, the electrical waste have something called radioactive molecules within these things. So when you compile cell phones and microwaves and you name all TVs, radios, all these things, when these things come together, and the heat, the dry season, the heat and the gas come together. Where you feel like engineering, where you feel going to take place. But yet, they're going to palm it off on the salvagers. You understand? Which is wrong. You know? It is wrong. These people always come into the media to try to cover themselves. And I said the media will run with that because at the end of the media is a part of the agenda to cover the wrongdoings that continuously being done to the workers in the dump, the nearby citizens, residents of the dumps, and the country at wide, at large.
So how do you guys continue? You guys haven't got a raise since when? 2013?
Since 2013. And I in line to tell you every day I just say to myself, Jason, boy, find a way to resign where they can get all their money because they're making sense. You've done it 22 years and all this poison you're absorbing in the system. You understand? To go, I real long again before I turn 65, eh? You understand? I don't look like a big man, but I real years again before I turn 65. And I studied the 22 years I done there already. And to go on with the next 20 something years before I can turn 60, 65. I say I'd be a madman to remain there. You understand?
But you know, it's interesting, right? Yeah, it's interesting, right? And you know, it's interesting that the government spent about 500 million on the Red House, and maybe 2 weeks later it was leaking, right? And you have a situation like this here in these landfills that affects the whole population. It affects the whole country. When something happened like has happened on the Beetham, it affects the whole country. The pollution doesn't just affect the people of the Beetham, it affects the whole country. So that 500 million they spent on the Red House, which I think was a little more, it could have been part of this. And I know, Mr. Roach, you said it takes about 120 million to operate the landfills in TNT. You know, maybe that might be much more now, right? And then they spend another set of money to renovate the Prime Minister residence here in Trinidad. Then they spend another set of money to renovate the Prime Minister residence in Tobago, right? When, I mean, you know, you could take it easy, man. You know, and take care of these type of things that has an effect on the whole country.
Right? If I may speak on that. So 120 is really the minimum. We actually need about 220 million to run the landfills in an environmentally and public health responsible manner. And SWMCOL actually 2 years ago was getting 110 million, and now for this fiscal year it was cut down by 20 million, so it was cut down to 90 million. And 90 million is simply insufficient. And again, it is because of that we have had this landfill fire. There's no doubt about it in my mind. The lack of funding has not allowed the landfill supervisors to cover the waste as they should, because there's just not the money to buy the cover material. But the thing about it is that the Green Fund, and this is a point that I've made continuously, even whilst I was CEO. So it's not for a lack of financing, because we have something called the Green Fund that was developed to deal with environmental problems like the Beetham is, like the whole waste management system is. The Green Fund has $7 billion in it right now. Contributions made by all of the commercial and industrial sector, all of the business community. And what is that money doing? That money is not being used as it should. And it's only a fraction of that we need to have the problems properly dealt with. Unfortunately, the Green Fund itself, SWMCOL has no access to the Green Fund because SWMCOL is a limited liability company, and the Green Fund is only accessible by agencies, authorities, and NGOs. And so that's a flaw in the system that should be dealt with to allow for those funds to be used for the proper management of waste in this country and the development of recycling and even the development of waste energy. That is one of the most significant challenges that we just need to fix to allow for the proper financing of waste management.
So what I hear you saying is that we're going to go for a quick station identification after this. What I'm hearing you saying is that we actually have the monies available in a green fund?
Absolutely. $7 billion. That was the last figure for the Green Fund. $7 billion. And some of that should be used to deal with these problems.
So can they use that money to give them a raise or no?
It's for environmental purposes and so technically no. But it doesn't mean that the money can't come from the existing sources through government subventions and so for the improvement in overall working conditions, including personal protective equipment and salaries and so. So the existing mechanisms for funding can be used for that, whilst the Green Fund itself is used for the upgrades that are needed to the waste management system.
So stick and stay. We're going to go for a quick station identification. It's in the village with the DAC triplets on WZYE 95.9 FM. We come to every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday from 7 to 10 p.m. Stick and stay. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back after.
You're listening to WZYE 95.9 FM. You are listening to WZYE 95.9 FM, the most influential name in Caribbean radio in the tri-state area. Broadcasting from East Orange, New Jersey, the most influential name in Caribbean radio, WZYE 95.9 FM.
So Jason, what are some of the things you would like to see happen for the employees on I know you had the Beetham landfill. Now let me ask a question. Why do they call it? Some people call it a dump. Some call it a landfill. I know when I was in China, we used to call it a lavas. You know, they don't call it a name anymore because that was the way back when. But what are some of the things, Jason, that you would like to see as far as improvements on the Beetham landfill?
Right. Well, as Mr. Roach would have highlighted, the fact that the dumping. And let me clarify when I say whether some call it landfill, some call it dump, and some call it back in the days lavas. I believe it's still as it was called in the first instance, the lavas, because it's not itself a proper dump. You understand? It worse than even being a dump, right? And as Mr. Roach highlighted, the fact that in this time, anybody try to set up a landfill in a place like a mangrove, it could cause a serious uproar, by the publics and the powers that be in the first world and the outside world and so on. So it's a real kind of mad thing that in 2022, we're doing something that in no other part of the world, and as Mr. Roach highlighted, Barbados and St. Lucia and Guyana and all these places. And I remember back in 2018 or 19, we did a course it had a program in Cipriani. And one of the guys from Guyana, he said when he coming along in the plane and he see the cobos in the sky, but he was calling the cobos by another name. I forget the name he called them by. He said he shake his head in disgrace because from the time he see the cobos circling in the sky there, he said he know for certain that is a dump, an open dump, around. He was really, really, really disappointed as a person who know that people from Trinidad would have come to Guyana and get them the information and get them the training to produce what they have as a proper engineered landfill across in Guyana right there, where Guyana has come already would have continuously say Guyana and these places never had the kind of funds that Trinidad had in the possession and still have in the possession. And up to now, we can operate or have a proper landfill operating. You understand? And I would like to say to the powers that be, is high time that this situation be considered as a national emergency and place some priority and urgency towards fixing this issue, putting the right persons in place, as Mr. Roach, who has the experience and the expertise and the heart, because as Mr. Roach rightfully says, it's not a matter that they don't have the money or they don't have the people with the expertise, but the will. You understand? You will put aside all politics and all mismanagement and corruption and do what is right for the health and safety of the entire country. And this, as I say, is a national emergency. And that is one of the drive and one of the reasons why I keep on fighting this fight and highlighting these issues. Because children to grow up in this country too. You understand? And how it is, as my comrade will say, if we don't fix it now, today, what we leave in, people gotta go elsewhere and live. They can't live here. You understand? They can't live on this poison like that we on. You follow?
Right. So it's interesting. Let's bring in Stephen. Stephen, what would you say? I know now that you are retired and you are no longer working there, what would you say? What would you like to see happen, at the Beetham landfill?
Well, the first thing should start with the workers who have over 50 years. Mr. Roach know, all the COD, the government of Trinidad and Tobago know, is one or two people who they take and promise them one set of different things and a proper salary. And today in 2022, after maybe the workers, they working 30 years, 20 something years, and they're the lowest paid, they're not even getting minimum wage. When we started to work, I had 3 medical every year. Now it only have 1. So working in that kind of environment, you need proper medical, you need proper finance, you need a proper salary, because you can't expect my son and children not getting up with no degree to go and work in no dump, as I say, after 60 years. And the next thing I would like to tell Trinidad and Tobago, because I find after 60 years, and not 100 million or 200 million, billions and billions of dollars, spending even election, they have 50 million to spend, and you can't spend 100 or 200 million and give the country or the nation or the people. I feel if I as a government doing that alone, I get all the vote I supposed to get, because I saving the people at Trinidad and Tobago life. First, God is great. That's why I like to pray and thank God, Father, for life. Is that true to the windbreaker, when the fire, the black smoke, light and going down in that direction, then the Twin Towers, and that smoke pulling Twin Towers air condition, they have to spend 100,000, 200,000 to service it and clean it and change the filters and all Westmoreland. And then you go here, Mr. Philip, because down on that side, Port of Spain is where the people suffering, because they have more wealth than people in Beetham. They have different complications and cancers and different health problems where breathing is concerned. And when the CEO saying that, sorry, I light a fire, mismanagement light the fire, because you have a facial pond. You have a facial pond where it's dropping facial, and unknowing to the management, they're putting people to work to see what offloading in the pond. Some tankers offload liquid. So when you see the black smoke, it's not gas, it's liquid. The oil from the pond float out into the dirt and the waste. And when that oil catch, they could wet it now, it's going and burn in the veins under the ground. You cover it with dirt, it's seeing smoke, it's still burning. Because oil and the gas from the waste, and it will burn. It might take 7 days to burn out itself under the ground, but it's going back in your little dot. It will poison this little dot after 50 years. Why you can't do the right thing? According to my comrade, I had children and grandchildren coming there. And instead I get paid to do the wrong thing, but I get paid to do the right thing. And if SWMCOL are doing the right thing, I don't want to be part of that work team. If it has somebody with the education and the talent and a humane person like that, I don't mind sacrificing some of my little service to the country. But the country itself and the government and the people who in charge, them don't be listening. But when they swap I blow out by the president or the prime minister house, 20 years ago they call in SWMCOL. And then SWMCOL had an emergency team to call and go and pump out your place 12 o'clock in the night. Even if it have something blow out, where the waste going, all the waste coming there. After 50 years, they put in waste and covering with it. That makes sense to people with degree long, so. So if it make no sense to me, and me I no degree long, so I don't know it makes sense to people who are degree long, so, and say me putting thing down, we cover and they put in that with a nice face. And that is a whole lot of bullshit they're telling you. You see that's supposed to stop 50 years ago. And if 50 years after people still talking, I tell Jason, I tell her that I don't think I don't talk and think I get my little government and I don't know that boy. You see that need to be corrected, not only by SWMCOL, but by the government. If I could challenge Marvin Gaza tonight that if he only start to tell the government and that prime minister about dealing with waste, they're getting a new minister of public utilities. It had what name was there, you see my minister, because it doesn't deal with the issues that affected the people. They deal with the issues that financially could ascertain them. What about the people? What about this place we did for more than 50 years and because I don't know if it has some big men brave or what. But when I learned from educated people that the kind of toxic gas and this and that, and after 20 years, the kind of effect it could have on you, cut your nature, blind you, make you lose your teeth, different thing. I say, see me, I done that thing. But they give me a big pair of thing pay, I done that. That dangerous. And they know it dangerous. The government know it dangerous, and they know it dangerous. And people talk about it, union writing, but it have a kind of little choky-looky union. But still, it have air in program, media, and they hear in TV6 air a whole, and nobody else listening. And it have UE in Trinidad, educated scientists, doctor, lab. I went to a union forum and hear professors and things talk about that, and it had to be corrected. And after 60 years, it is corrected. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the workers who did, after 50 years, give them the right gratuity and let them lead it and let rubbish jump over Trinidad and Tobago, because the next generation coming and going and work on no dump and they're picking up no rubbish job, and next breed of people come in and them are listening to that. When you reach 75 years and you feel boys are hoo-foo, it about God, you can't live for no 200 years. So if you had 60 years and I correct something, you will correct it in the next 60.
Well, it makes sense. So Mr. Roach,
so I know where we're going.
Yeah. So Mr. Roach, now, just before you go, right? Here is the opportunity to talk to the powers that be in Trinidad and Tobago and tell them, what are some of the things you would like to see, for SWMCOL, for the betterment of Trinidad and Tobago.
So certainly the financing needs to be provided. And as I said, it's not that the financing isn't there, it's just that there must be a mechanism to connect the finances in the Green Fund to the activities that SWMCOL needs to implement. I think there's need for a task force, and I think especially given this situation that happened over the last couple of days at BTUM, and just to put it in perspective, SWMCOL subvention from the government was cut by $20 million. And $20 million cut has caused a fire like this.
What was the subvention? What's the number? What number
it was cut from 115 million to 90 something million. So just around 20 million. So 115 million is what SWMCOL receives on an annual basis. As I said, the figure should be around 220 million if we have to take everything into consideration, including proper landfilling, leachate system, wheel wash, PPE, proper wages, and so. So SWMCOL needs to get that amount of funds, but that 20 million cut that they got, in one day that NP, which is right downwind to the landfill, in one day NP, when it has to shut down because of a fire, loses $10 million. So by tomorrow, NP's losses alone would have equated to that cut that SWMCOL would have gotten, plus all the lost productivity because of the traffic, because of people not going into Port of Spain, and so because of businesses having to close, and so I mean that lost productivity will end up being 100 million or so. So government has to recognize that by cutting 20 million, and you think you're saving 20 million, you have now to pay 100 million in lost productivity. You have, and not even counting the health costs to the workers, to the surrounding population, and so we are being penny wise and pound foolish. So two clear recommendations: a task force to deal with the urgent issue of waste management, given that there's no overarching body responsible for waste management. In the absence of that, a task force comprising SWMCOL, Ministry of Planning, Ministry of local government, Ministry of Public Utilities, even including institutions like the university and so to urgently deal with the situation, providing the financing and implementing. So we spoke about the 1977 strategy that was developed and not fully implemented. There was a similar strategy and action plan developed in 2015/2016. That was when government changed, and unfortunately the incumbent government did not take up that and did not continue with that strategy. So that is sitting on a shelf, and that strategy has most of, if not all, of what needs to be done from a technical, legislative, financial position. So we need to revisit that strategy and deal with everything that strategy says. So those are the 3 recommendations that I have to leave.
Yeah, I know what I see. Are you guys hearing me?
Yes.
So what I see here, is a lot of arrogance and ignorance that is causing the chaos here, and they don't seem to care or want to care. All right, we have the intelligence, we have the people with the intelligence, we have the resources, we have the people with the will to do it. As we've seen here with Mr. Roach, he has the knowledge, the understanding, he has the will and the mindset to do it, but it's been obstructed by arrogance and stupidity, and a refusal to acknowledge how critical it is for we to get with this and to deal with the situation, and we cannot delay any longer. We show no consideration for the health being of the people within the immediate surrounding there. Number 1, we show no consideration for the safety of the workers, as we can see, and we continue to deal with this level of arrogance.
What I want to say, right? I think what we have to do, right? We like to bring back both Mr. Roach, Mr. Rennie, and
but answer what I'm saying to you. The education, the information that is being brought here tonight has to be publicized. The public has to be educated on how urgent and critical this situation has to be dealt with, and put the pressure on the government to get off their tail and do the job. Put the pressure on those who are not doing what they're supposed to do. They have to realize how much of a threat this situation is to them. And that is how we build the pressure. This is what Obama did in this country, and there's a lot of things. So you have to mount the pressure. You have to mount the pressure. You have to educate the population on what the situation is, how threatening it is to their life. And this is where this is how you have to mount the pressure on them.
But Gary is Ansi Parter in Power and Mr. Marvin Gonzalez, right?
Well, Prime Minister seemed to think Mr. Prime Minister seemed to be puffing up his chest and bragging like he had the brightest among him. It's the same mess that Stuart Young created with locking our people out of the country and trying to tell the Prime Minister he had the best plan of action when he could not mount to service the plan of action. Right? He didn't have the people in place. How many thousands of people wasn't going to get a response from national security? Now we have a situation here where we think this fancy talk from the Minister of Public Utilities and the fancy talk from this one and that one and Stuart Young and the other one, and the Prime Minister puffing up himself like he big and bad. In the meantime, the people are suffering in the country. The lives of people are in danger. We have a situation here, right? We have a situation here that is very life-threatening, that has to be treated with. And there's an urgency. And there seems to be a lack of understanding of the sense of urgency and how critical the situation is here. Mr. Roach seems to be very informed, has the know-how to get the job done, but being like everything else is being obstructed. And the people have to notice.
Because PNM don't want to hear no ideas. They shut when they have to pull tooth and nail to get them to revisit the exemption policy.
Everybody, this is how we operate in Trinidad. Everybody who have the good ideas has been obstructed. We who trying to help from outside has been obstructed because we disturbing the turf.
Right. So here's what we have to do, Gary. Since we have kind of run out of time, right? I think what we have to do.
But I just wanted to throw out because I was trying to talk to you guys a lot of times you wasn't hearing me. So
right, as soon as possible.
I just want to throw this out.
We like to bring back Jason, Stephen, and Ronald back into the village, so we could have, it could be a longer discussion, and we could able to flush a lot more things out, because I had a few questions too that we couldn't get, and people in the chat also.
But the population has to know answer. The population has to know how critical this is.
Right, and that's why we are bringing them back, so they could go more deep into this, because I think this is very important, because I think this is an environmental disaster just waiting to happen. It already started in Trinidad and Tobago.
It's happening. It's not waiting to happen. It's happening.
Yeah.
But we have the resources on the ground to deal with it. They're obstructing the people who's capable of doing this, and this I cannot tolerate.
Right. Let's say a bigger disaster. So I want to say to Jason, keep doing your videos. We're gonna keep sharing the videos. Mr. Ronald Roach, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and we'd like to invite you guys back again. With Mr. Rennie as well. In order we could have a more time to discuss something very important like this in Trinidad and Tobago, because I don't see them talking about this in the media in Trinidad and Tobago. I see.
No, they ain't going to talk about this.
I see more of Jason. As a matter of fact, Jason, I kind of put together those 6 events that you guys did, and I actually shared it on social media today, because I thought it was very interesting that the people of Trinidad and Tobago need to know that, and I share that.
Well, you see the cover up about the sewage that was offloading on the people out there, how this one and that one and the UNC and this crook and that crook, in the meantime, they cover up the incompetence. Right.
Yeah.
Bacchanal and confusion.
Yeah. So Jason and Mr. Ronald Roach, Mr. Jason Thomas and Mr. Ronald Roach, we want to thank you guys so very kindly for joining us, and we like to have you guys back soon.
And Jason,
my pleasure.
keep making trouble. You're in good company. You're with the storm.
Yeah, but I want to say something to Ronald.
When you want troublemaker, you bring me in on your live. I ready for them.
Ronald, I want to say something to you.
We're going to do them live. Let us know. And we're going to join you with those lives. Right, Barry?
Yeah, it's not that you were not capable of handling this job. You were very capable of handling the job. You're being obstructed from your performance of getting the job done. This is what I pick up from this here.
Shame on you, Dr. Rowley, and what the fella name? What the Gonzalez fella name? What name?
Wait.
Marvin.
Hold a minute.
He's a Venezuelan.
I defer to the powers that think they have more ideas than me. So it was.
No, but the silly thing about it is we can't leave this to rest because it's a life-threatening situation.
Exactly.
So it can be politics as usual.
Exactly.
Nothing to do with PNM and UNC and who better than who.
And let me say it is not Mr. Roach saying shame on you, Dr. Rowley. It's me, Diana Benskin, says shame on you and the Venezuelan fella you have in charge of this thing here.
No,
Gonzalez. Well, he must be he got to be, but that name Gonzalez, he's got to be a Venezuelan.
One of the challenges too with
he don't care about
the public is that is also the ministry responsible for, of course, WASA and TNTech, both very demanding portfolios and both fraught with problems as well. So when we had the national a few weeks ago, and of course we have a perennial and continuous water problem, then the focus is unfortunately on those things as well. So that's also one of the issues that need to be addressed, and there must be somebody specific with that responsibility. And it comes back to that: who is taking charge of waste management? And once that person is clear, then everything can be done through that person. But that's one of the biggest challenges that we need to deal with. And I mean, certainly I'll be happy to come back, and there's so much just each
we want you back. We want you back.
Right. This information has to be brought public, and it has to be repetitious to the public, and you have to sing it until they get it.
Right, when you're doing your live, I want to be in on your live, and I call in name. You just give me the name, I call in it. You know how to call it. I go call it.
Are we gonna leave it there?
Yeah.
And we're gonna leave it there. We're gonna say thank you again to Mr. Jason Thomas and Mr. Ronald Roach. We thank you guys so kindly for joining us, and we're
And
definitely going to have you guys
Stephen.
back real soon.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care, guys.
Thank you
It's
very
a pleasure.
much.
Thanks a
All
lot,
right,
gentlemen. All right.
take care. All right, bye-bye.
Your PNM party had the people suffering, yeah? What wrong with you, Anselm, boy? What wrong with PNM?
But it's not only in this instance, you know. There is several instances in the country, you know, that it is the norm. Anything good for the country is just people just it's being obstructed. That's why you see a lot of people don't want to get involved a lot of times because they frustrate you so much until they wear you out and make you give up.
You have an acre of land to wash, you can't get water to wash, you can't get water to cook, you want the sewage backing up. That's all kind of things.
Denise, welcome. Denise, put closing comments in the chat. Your words with closing comments. I didn't even forget to tell people welcome, Denise. Denise is a good friend of mine. Lana, put closing comments in the chat.
Denise, you actually friends with Anselm, girl? Oh, God. Heaven help you.
Cedra, put closing comments in the chat. Closing comment.
Is Denise a PNM too?
Who's that?
Yeah.
You know,
is Denise a PNM friend or
I don't know what Denise is.
You know,
I never had your face. Put closing comments in the chat. And,
welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And
thank Miss Khan for sharing her story also.
Yeah. We thank Miss Khan. We thanks Mr. Roach, Mr. Thomas, and Mr. Rennie. Stephen, we thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate that. When we hear, we share information. And I even forget to ask him question about the reuse, recycle, and what was the other one there? Reuse, reduce, reuse, and recycle. I forget to even ask him about the recycle part of it. So yeah.
But the recycle is very critical, especially where we have a lot of, we live in an age, a lot of toxic materials, all the electronic, so many computers has to be cannot go in the landfill because you're creating, you're poisoning the ground. A lot of the, we had bad situation here in New Jersey. We had a lot of cleanup.
You want to know what the R stands for? Reduce, reuse, recycle, Rowley.
Oh God.
You know, I'll tell you something. I think we are pointing fingers continuously, and regardless of who the hell we put in power, the problem still persists. Anyway.
Yeah, but Tommy, we're gonna talk about that next time because let me tell you something. The structure is in place. No matter who you put in power, you could put Watson Duke there, and you have a hard time changing it. We have a need a complete overhaul.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
The system.
Diana,
you don't know that.
You come like you're putting Watson Duke in with chains, tie up with chains in the same day.
You don't know that.
Now, Gary,
you don't know that.
People want real change. They want real
change.
They want somebody.
That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, but the change has to come by educating the population on what the issue is.
Well, and if they want the same, if they want the same,
and they have to realize how detrimental the situation is to their health and their livelihood. You know, why they sitting down there whining and jamming and taking your punching, okay? And think everything fine and dandy.
No,
your life is in danger. Okay?
All right.
So wake up.
So folks, let's leave it right there for now. All right, Diana, closing comments.
No, all I say, go to sleep with a dream, wake up with a purpose.
Okay, that's Diana Benskin, closing comments. Tommy, closing comments.
Curiosity is the wick in the candle of learning. And this is by William Arthur Ward. Just as the length of the wick of a candle determines how long the flame will last, the depth of one's curiosity fuels their pursuit of knowledge. It's an apt metaphor coined motivational writer William Arthur Ward. Pleasant good night to each and everyone, and I enjoy being in the village as usual. Let's do this again on Saturday, God willing.
Okay. And my code is very simple, right? The system was never broken. It was built this way. The system was never broken. It was built this way. Right?
It's intentional.
Yeah. Go ahead, Gary.
It's intentional. I would say thank each and everyone for joining us. Special thanks to our guests here, Sally Khan, and the gentleman who we were just speaking to. So with that, I will say good night. I'll say let's get up Trinidad and Tobago. It's time to shake a leg. Your life depends on it. Good night.
Thank you.
And
guys.
some more supreme women, Mia Mottley, Indira Gandhi, Serena Williams. Need I continue? And I put in Diana Benskin up in there too. Yes. Black woman has always been supreme.
All right.
Good night, family.
Closing comment from Denise G. Denise says, be the change you want to see in the world, Gandhi. Thank you, Denise. Rajvi says, good night, everyone. Remember, we are blessed. We are the ones still alive. We'll put that up there. This is Denise's closing comment. Then we have Rajvi, good night, everyone. Remember, we are blessed. We are still alive. Thank you so much, Rajvi. That's true. Okay. Thank you, Denise. Denise says, thank you all. This was enlightening and so indeed need to be heard and shared.
And Lana said, when you fall apart, when you fall, get up, start over. If you must, don't give up because you have not reached the final line. Stay safe, my friend. Love you all. Love you too, Lana, sister. My Indian sister.
Lana want me to move the ice cream bus if you didn't eat ice cream.
Don't worry, Lana. When I come to Trinidad, we go eat all the ice cream you want. We ain't getting them none.
Cedra says, I think Cedra was new. Cedra says, Ronald is always capable when given a job to get done. He was once my boss. Very intelligent man. All right, thank you. Thank you.
We had a bunch of new people in the village. Click on subscribe so whenever a program comes on, you'll know it's free, just for notification. We have a Maria Rennie. She seems to be new.
Okay.
Welcome to the village.
Yeah. So, folks, it's a pleasure. We thank you all for joining us. What are we going to go out with tonight?
The Kixon in Parliament.
You want that again?
More Jack have your donkey down there.
Yeah, donkey. Yeah. Let me go to the donkey song. Let me go to the donkey. I like that one. We go to that one instead. So, folks, have a pleasant good night. And we will go to that one instead. Where is that one? There we go.
Help! Somebody help me! I'm looking for Jacka. Boy, I try to go around the country now. I don't know what to do again. Looking to buy a donkey to sell coconut in town. Can't afford to buy a pickup to tote me nuts around. So I gone up in the country looking for jackals to buy. But everybody I check, they keep on telling I. They say up here do a donkey, Parliament a plenty. Up here do a donkey, Parliament a plenty. If you want to see real donkey, Parliament a plenty. If you want to find real donkey, Parliament a plenty. Donkey for sewing day, donkey for sewing day, donkey for sewing day, donkey for sewing day, donkey with PhD, doctorate, law degree, donkey that dance for sew, don't know from head to toe. Looking for a donkey, you want to find real donkey. Fat donkey, maga donkey, any kind you could get it. Oh, yo. I went down south in Rancho and also Lopino. Fight up Mondo Nevo and Brasso Seco. They say it have a old man, he bound to have a few. But when I check the old man, he and all same too. He say up here do a donkey, Parliament a plenty. Up here do a donkey, Parliament a plenty. If you want to see real donkey, Parliament a plenty. If you want to find real donkey, Parliament a plenty. Donkey for sewing day, donkey for sewing day, donkey for sewing day, donkey for sewing day, donkey with weave and rats, even bald head jackass, donkey that straight and gay, donkey that bold and grey, looking for a donkey. You're looking for a donkey. I know Chinese donkey. I know what black donkey, grey donkey. What are you telling me about? Oh yeah. Hey yeah. Oh yeah. I wonder if I rain happen. You said that donkey looking like Saddam and some looking like Madam. Long time had plenty donkey all over the country. You coulda buy 2 or 3, easy. But since it have a shortage of jackass, so they say, just wait until election when they come out to pray. Up here do a donkey, parliament a plenty. Up here do a donkey, parliament a plenty. If you're looking for a donkey, parliament a plenty. If you want to see real donkey, parliament a plenty. Donkey for sewing day, donkey for sewing day, donkey for sewing day, donkey for sewing day. Donkey in suit and tie, who love the mama guy. Drunk and corrupt donkey, that like to lie plenty, looking for a donkey. So you want to find real dung in Rice Road. Oh boy, you have to have national pride. Up in the red house now, they gone back up there. I never go up there before. Boy, ask people now. Looking for a donkey. You're up and down the country. I feel like go check out my partner Ronnie, you know. The old donkey man, he must know where I could get some. Because they looking to send me in prison or something, you know.